You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1210. 1210 Chapter 287 Next time, Monthly 3. Please don't be that kind of existence with only a few people. That would be troublesome. That meant that the half-emperor already knew the situation, found out where little Harry Ball was, and knew that the other party was in the human realm. That would be troublesome. He had to be careful that an invincible person could enter the human realm at any time. Zhu Tiandao was also helpless and quickly said, fortunately, he barely covered it up. Probably not many people know about it. Su Yu, that fellow, take it easy. When we arrive at the heavenly battlefield, there might be an invincible person watching him. Then we won't let him go. Niu Bendao had just finished speaking when Zhu Tiandao interrupted, if he's just a researcher, that's fine. He's not. His own strength is also incomparably powerful. He's invincible among his peers. Do you think that a person like him can stay in the research institute for a lifetime? Bullsh *T. It was fine if he didn't have the strength, but if he had the strength, who would want to stay in the research institute forever? The two of them were speechless. Zhu Tiandao was too lazy to say anything else. He said with a headache, forget it, this isn't the most urgent matter. Why isn't this kid out yet? Niu Bendao was even more depressed than him. How would I know? This kid is too much. He didn't even eat enough for himself, and he even brought that little thing to eat. This is the foundation of our institute. It was fine if he ate by himself, but Su Yu was alone. No matter how much he ate, there was a limit. But now, he brought little Harry Ball along to eat, and the other party became Ling Yun. Not a thing. Why don't you bring a few more in? And at this moment, Su Yu really had the thought. He felt that he couldn't eat anymore. If he had known earlier, he might have brought Waterman and Shadow in to eat. It would have been a waste not to eat. This 100-path pavilion was too amazing. At this moment, Su Yu had already broken through to the 44th floor. He had only reached the 44th floor, and his fire character divine prose had almost recovered to rank 1. It would probably take some time to reach rank 2. The other divine prose gave Su Yu the feeling that many of them were about to reach the limit of rank 2. The blood character divine prose was really about to reach rank 3. Su Yu was even thinking about whether or not he should let the blood character advance. If he advanced, he was worried that it would be difficult for him to control the level 3 word and cause a conflict instead. Let's recover the fire word first. I'll raise the rest to the limit of level 2. After that, I might have 11 more level 3 words. Su Yu calculated for a while. At this moment, the words he encountered were all level 3. Level 44 was roughly equivalent to the second or third level of Ling Yun. After level 45, he would be at the middle stage of Ling Yun. Level 50, that was the later stage of Ling Yun. Maybe I don't have to display the divine inscriptions all the time. This place is really good. I'll start from the beginning. I don't have to use the divine inscriptions to forge weapons. Su Yu had always wanted to improve his weapon forging skills. In the end, he didn't have the time or opportunity. Now, he saw the light at the end of the tunnel. If this place continued with the weapon forging test, it would definitely improve by quite a bit. Perhaps it could rapidly improve his weapon forging skills. He could enter 3 times in a month, this was only the first time. Even if the next time, there were no rewards on the 10th floor, it would not be a big deal. He did not come here for these rewards. He came here to raise his level. This time, he had opened 65 god apertures. Su Yu was in an extremely good mood. Once he was in a good mood, he became even more energetic when he fought. Divine runes burst. The 11 divine runes formed a sealing knife and fought with the divine runes one by one. Their characteristics kept on combining. Su Yu was trying out different ways to burst out their characteristics. He calculated his strengths and weaknesses. Break, Blade, and Thunder. These divine runes could all be considered powerful divine runes, but they were still lacking some. They weren't strong enough. Combination. Su Yu had a vague idea in his mind. He lacked some combinations. The divine runes alone couldn't form a divine runes battle technique, so in order to combine them, the divine runes were actually very complementary. As for Su Yu, because he had a divine runes battle technique, he didn't pay too much attention to these. It seemed a little messy. Whatever was outlined was what mattered. The Thunder word divine literature should be combined. For example, the Thunder Origin Blade. The divine skill Thunder Origin Blade, it's best to outline a origin word. I don't know if it can be instantly combined into a blade and transform a battle technique into a divine skill. Su Yu had a thought in his mind. For example, why couldn't cultivation techniques like time be used with divine apertures and divine skills? Couldn't he use his willpower and divine apertures to burst out the combination of divine runes? Without realizing it, Su Yu had already reached the 49th level. At this moment, he couldn't kill any more and was extremely exhausted. The 49th level was the special area for Ling Yun's 6th level. The divine runes here were extremely powerful. Even if Su Yu's 11 divine runes were combined, they weren't as powerful as his opponent. He was forced to retreat in defeat. At this moment, the fire word divine inscription had completely recovered. It felt very good to be able to recover at the 9th level. The divine inscription battle technique, coupled with Su Yu's battle path strength, if they were to continue fighting, defeating this mid-tier tier 3 divine inscription should be possible. However, it was meaningless. After killing his way to the 50th level, he didn't seem to have any other needs at the moment. What a waste. He only had this chance once. Why don't I save it for the next time? Su Yu thought for a moment. Perhaps the next time he was ready, it would be more suitable to come. For example, breaking through to soaring into the sky. His willpower and divine runes could both be absorbed to advance. Today, he had absorbed to the limit. If he continued to absorb, it would be a waste. Why don't I wait until I'm soaring into the sky and try killing my way to the 60th floor? Then, I can get stuck at the 60th floor. I can earn a lot in one go. The 60th floor was the dividing line between the mountains and the sea. Su Yu had the same idea at that moment. After killing his way to the 60th floor, he would try fighting the mountains and the sea. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1211. 1211 Chapter 287 Next time Chill Monthly 4. Of course, that would have to wait until they were in the air. Mountains and seas. At this moment, Su Yu, who had just recovered, suddenly felt that mountains and seas were not so far away. At this moment, he also had some judgment of his own strength. With the combination of the divine runes and his physical body, there was probably a chance to fight against a 6th level Lingyun. Of course, the perfected one was the real person, and the divine runes were the divine runes. Moreover, the 100-path pavilion was only a virtual divine runes, so the perfected one was even harder to deal with. If he really encountered a 7th level, there was not much hope. The reason why he killed Zhou Pingsheng that day was because that fellow had suffered a backlash. In order to use that divine talisman, his willpower had been exhausted. Su Yu's strength should not be weaker than that day. That day, he had swallowed blood essence, but he did not do so today. Ling Yun's combat strength, trash, 6th level Ling Yun's combat strength. Compared to a 3rd or 4th level Ling Yun who is a top-notch genius, perhaps, he can fight evenly with Lu Hong. Su Yu judged his own strength and was a little speechless. He felt that he was probably comparable to a genius at the 1st level of Ling Yun. In other words, Wu Qi, Lu Hong, and Hu Wensheng, who had just advanced, were probably on par with him. Of course, he was probably no match for Xia Yuan. Xia Yuan losing to Bai Feng was considered an accident. Another battle. Even if Bai Feng was still at his original strength, there was a high chance that he would be beaten to death. This thing could be used once, but it wouldn't work the second time. Su Yu was slightly dazed. It was true that Wuxia had only left his name on the 49th floor. And he was currently fighting with the divine inscriptions on the 49th floor. Had he unknowingly become so powerful? 360 yuan apertures, 180 divine apertures. He had spent countless resources and costs to open it, and as expected, it didn't disappoint him. The outside world could not see how many levels Su Yu had cleared. The only thing they knew was that Su Yu had passed the 40th level. As for the rest, Su Yu's speed was too slow, so they could not see his name. He might have continued grinding on the 41st level, or he might have reached the 59th level. In any case, it could not be the 60th level. There were not many people on the 60th level. Of course, everyone felt that there were not even the 50th level. Otherwise, the number of people on the 50th level would not be too many. That was the territory of the 7th level of Ling Yun. There weren't many people at the 7th level of Ling Yun in Daming Mansion. Of course, there were many old people's names on it. It really makes me itch. Just how many levels has this guy cleared? It's already the night of the 14th. Why don't we continue the bonfire party tonight? It had already been 2 days since the party. Why don't we have another day? Someone suggested, why don't we set up a festival from February 12th to the 14th and call it the Bonfire Festival? Let's commemorate Su Yu for clearing the level. Su Yu might become an invincible almighty in the future. Would it be a problem to build a festival for him? That makes sense. Someone agreed and quickly said, those who bet that Su Yu won't pass the 40th level, stop dilly-dallying. No matter when Su Yu comes out, he will pass the 40th level. Those who should be running naked, those who should be wearing women's clothing. Hurry up. That's right, hurry up, stop dawdling. They were extremely excited. Among the crowd, Wu Lan followed Wen Zhong and looked around. She was not used to it and muttered, in the great Xia mansion, if Su Yu can make it past the 40th level, everyone will be very solemn. The appearance of a monster had suppressed the people of the same generation. The civilized masters of the great Xia mansion would definitely feel immense pressure. They would think that they would immediately go and cultivate. It was over. With such a genius appearing, there was no way for us to live. In the end, the Great Ming Mansion was actually preparing to hold a bonfire festival. Wen Zhong smiled and said, a place, a custom. In the Great Ming Civilization Academy, because everyone walks on a different path, you have walked far on the path of divine literature. These people do not think that you are better than him. He said that he knows how to brew 10,000 types of wine. Do you know how? If you don't know how, then you're not as good as him. This was the 100 arts of Tao. Wu Lan was deep in thought. She thought for a moment and said, is that so? From your point of view, combat power isn't the only standard, but would it be so useful in the heavenly battlefield? In the Great Xia Manor, everyone's goal is to go to the heavenly battlefield. Wen Zhong smiled and said, they're all going to war. What about logistics? What about the supplies? Why has the Great Xia Manor stopped fighting since last year? Do you really think that Manor Head Xia doesn't want to fight anymore? Why has Lord Xia been swindling and swindling time and time again? Among the invincible descendants, Lord Xia has the worst reputation and is insatiable. Where is the money that he is greedy for? Has it all been spent by himself? Wu Lan was speechless. When Zhong said again, everyone with discerning eyes knows that the Great Xia Manor can't fight anymore. Then, what about the Great Qin Manor? Wu Lan did not understand. The Great Qin Manor was also constantly fighting. The Great Qin Manor. Wen Zhong thought for a moment and said, the Great Qin Manor is also poor, and its treasury is empty. However, the Great Qin Manor has one good thing, which is military control. All resources are under the Great Qin Manor's military control. The Great Xia Manor is actually quite rich, and the people are quite rich. Some of the large families also have capital and reserves. The Great Qin Manor, to be honest, it is even poorer than the Great Xia Manor. The reason why they could still fight was because the Great Qin Manor had fewer big families and had tight control over their resources, so they didn't seem too nervous. After saying this, he said, the Great Qin Manor also has fewer civilized masters, and the consumption of fighters is actually smaller than that of civilized masters. The Great Xia Manor has many civilized masters, and the lord of the Great Xia Manor has a big heart. He wanted to walk on two legs, but in the end, he couldn't provide enough resources. He also wanted the people to live well, but he wasn't willing to walk the path of the Great Qin Manor's military administration. As a result, he was too greedy, causing the situation to be much more tense than the Great Qin Manor. Wulan nodded, after a long while or stuffy way, I actually still think the Great Xia Mansion is good. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 12:12. 12:12 Chapter 287 Come again next time. That's where she's from. The palace lord just wants everyone to live a better life, and he doesn't want the people to be controlled like the Great Qin Palace. That would be too unfree. Wen Zhong smiled and said, everyone has their own way of doing things. Manor head Xia's intentions are good, but unfortunately, Sai, there are some things that you might end up with a sad ending if you want to take care of everything. This is something that cannot be helped. The Great Xia Manor has endured for decades and fought for hundreds of years, but it has also reached its limit. Wulan nodded, thought for a moment, and said in a low voice, actually, I feel that Mansion Master is too soft-hearted. There are many experts in the Great Xia Mansion who are at the back. If we pull them all to the heavenly battlefield, we can bring in more resources. For example, my Wu family has sun, moon, mountains and seas, and Ling Yun. Only my father goes to the heavenly battlefield, and my sister sometimes goes. Almost no one else goes, it's too little, they should all go. Wen Zhong was speechless. You can say that at home. This little girl is really ruthless. Aren't you afraid that your Wu family will beat you up? And you even dragged them all to the celestial battlefield. As the two of them were talking, a figure appeared at the entrance of the 100-path pavilion. Su Yu. Su Yu came out. Level 49. In the end, Su Yu took down level 49, but he didn't continue forward and chose to come out. There was no need to continue fighting. For the sake of a ranking, there was no meaning to it. What he wanted was tangible benefits. Next time, continue fighting, continue pulling. The moment Su Yu appeared, Niu Baidao and the others had arrived. Elder Yun glanced at Su Yu, but before he could say anything, Su Yu bowed and thanked him, Thank you teacher for your advice. This time, I have reaped a huge harvest, and it was all thanks to teacher's reminder. Thank you so much. Such a good person. Elder Yun held his anger in his heart. I was only reminding you that clearing the level was not your goal. I was just trying to let you reap the benefits. I didn't say that I wanted you to go crazy and harvest the sheep's wool. When all the students and teachers went in, he would remind them for the first time. How many people actually listened to him? Su Yu had completely listened to him. Not only did he listen to him, he even learned the level on his first try. Elder Yun couldn't help but ask, have you seen other people's levels before? No, can other people also learn the level? Su Yu was surprised and nodded. That's right, there were still many smart people. Self-taught. Elder Yun once again felt stifled. F***ck. You've never seen it before. Self-taught. You actually learned the level. You're a genius. Not an ordinary genius, but a top-notch genius who took advantage of loopholes. As he thought to himself, he didn't say anything else. He sneaked a glance at the void mirror, level 49. He wanted to spit out a fragrant aroma again. You're amazing. You've killed your way to level 49. You're really good at cultivating your character. He sensed time and time again, but he was unable to discover Su Yu's specific realm. It seemed to be true, but it wasn't. Just what realm was this kid at? At this moment, Zhu Hongliang also ran over and hurriedly asked, Su Yu, how many levels have you reached? Just average. Su Yu smiled and said, the later stages are too difficult. I can't fight anymore. I've thought it through. This time, for the first time, I'll try the water. Next time, I'll start from the first stage. This 100-path pavilion is really too useful. No secret realm can compare to it. The great Ming King is really amazing. After praising him, he voiced out his thoughts. Next time, he would start from the first stage. This time, he had not tried many things. He had not tried weapon forging or beast taming. Next time, he could bring a swan ni or a mountain ox to try beast taming. Not only that, Su Yu felt that the next time, he could try to break through without using divine inscriptions and purely with his willpower. Or he could try to break through purely with his physical body. This 100 Dao pavilion was too magical. After these words were said, the faces of the elders twitched. F***ck, you still want to start from the first round next time? Su Yu did not stop there. He even said, there should be merit rewards for clearing this round, right? When he heard this, he could not hold it in anymore. At this point, you had almost wiped out the entire 100 Dao pavilion. Yet, you were still thinking about that bit of merit. Be a human. Niu Baidao also came. He said tiredly, Su Yu, there's not much meaning in clearing the rounds frequently. Rest more and absorb the rewards. Su Yu nodded and said with a smile, thank you, manor head. I'll remember it. I'll need at least another 3 to 4 days to come over. I won't be going in tomorrow. It was as if he didn't say anything. Zhu Hongliang couldn't help but ask again, just how many levels do you have? Su Yu tilted his head and looked at the crystal tablet. Fortunately, he didn't have his name. These people saw that he was at level 40, right? Su Yu smiled and said, level 41. You're lying through your teeth. Elder Yun once again noticed something. Other people wished they could say a few more levels, but this guy, just opened his mouth and said it. Level 41, you managed to clear one level in the end? You're really slow. Zhu Hongliang seemed to be a little disappointed. I thought you had cleared level 45 and above. Su Yu smiled. It's alright. Try harder next time. Try hard until the 60th level. Let's try fighting Shanghai once. He really wanted to test Shanghai's strength. Unfortunately, in a real fight, he was afraid of being beaten to death. Moreover, at least he would be able to fly. By now, everything was ready. Also, when he went back, he had to connect 180 divine orifices. Primordial spirit orifices, did he have them or not? At this moment, Su Yu couldn't wait any longer. Could the discovery of the primordial spirit orifices change anything? Could he swiftly possess the strength of Zhan Shanhai? Between him and Wuxia, who was stronger? All of this, he wanted to give it a try. Perhaps, he could find an opportunity to spar with some fellows. Why hadn't the Xingyu residence opened yet? He really wanted to give it a try. P.S. Monthly vote. I'm so tired recently. Vote some monthly votes to comfort me. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 12-13. 1213 Chapter 288 Heaven Vitality Extraction, 1. Suyu chatted with Niu Baidao and the others for a while. He also saw the tables, chairs, and benches outside. He saw the fruits and peanuts. He saw the traces left behind by the bonfire. He saw that someone seemed to be preparing to continue the bonfire. He entered on the 12th. It was almost dark now. It was already the 14th. 2.5 days, not 3 days. However, Suyu had gained a lot in these 2 days. He was in a good mood. He couldn't be bothered to say anything to these salted fish damning students. You guys continue with the bonfire. Suyu still had a lot of things to do at the moment, so he didn't stay any longer. He greeted the teachers and quickly walked over to Zhu Tiandao, who was waving at him. Zhu Tiandao sized Suyu up. After a long while, he smiled and said, "You gained quite a lot." "Not bad." Suyu also smiled. "Mansion Master, the great Ming King is really a learned man. This 100 Dao pavilion is really a treasure." "Not bad." Zhu Tiandao replied with the same sentence. He quickly smiled and said, "It wasn't created by my father alone. Back then, there were quite a few experts who participated in it. They were all peak experts of their respective paths." After casually saying that, Zhu Tiandao looked at him for a while and asked, "You haven't soared into the sky yet?" "Soon." Suyu explained, "I haven't decided on the body forging technique yet. Once I've confirmed the body forging technique, I'll soar into the sky again. When my physical body and willpower soar into the sky together, I'll be able to cast my physical body a few more times." Zhu Tiandao nodded slightly. This was also something that many people pursued. Back at the Great Xia Civilization Academy, Zhan Hai, who was ranked first in the top 100, wanted to soar into the sky together. Soaring into the sky, materializing, strengthening the body. Once the body was cast, the body would be strengthened twice. However, Zhu Tiandao thought for a moment and said, "With the strength of your body and willpower, if you were to soar into the sky together, you have to choose a good place. It's not a place where you can break through easily. Be careful to break through the middle. Without willpower and vitality, you will be stuck in the middle." Suyu thought for a moment and nodded slightly. That was true. His breakthrough would definitely consume a lot of yuan qi and willpower. Zhu Tiandao said again, "Not only that, it's best to cast your body in a heaven yuan qi environment." Suyu glanced at him with a look of anticipation. Did the manor head say that there was such a good place? "Actually, it's best for you to cast your body in the divine realm, the demonic realm, and the immortal realm." Suyu was speechless. Zhu Tiandao laughed and said, "I'm just joking. Actually, it's fine if you don't go to these places. There are actually 2 places. The War God Hall or the Quest Realm, there are actually small areas like this. Why don't I bring you to the Quest Realm to break through?" Suyu frowned and said, "Manor head, is that possible?" Zhu Tiandao nodded, "It's definitely possible. The sacred land of the Quest Realm isn't theirs. My Zhu clan also has a share. Of course, my Zhu clan doesn't have any earth-shattering geniuses, and I usually can't be bothered to go there to break through. But if you're willing, I can send you there." Suyu said hesitantly, "Is it mainly because of the rich heaven yuan qi and willpower over there?" "Yes." Zhu Tiandao nodded and said, "Especially the heaven yuan qi, it's extremely helpful for casting the body. Casting the body with the blood essence is actually to use the heaven yuan qi in the blood essence. Why is the god and devil blood essence so popular? It was because the heavenly yuan qi in their blood essence was extremely rich. As for other blood essence, for example, some trash blood essence, 99% was trash, and 1% was heavenly yuan qi. Casting a body, even if you swallow 100 drops of blood essence, it wouldn't have much of an effect. You would even have to burst yourself, and your acupuncture points would be contaminated. Suyu had also noticed this himself. He nodded and said, I've also noticed this point. Manor head, then does anyone in Daming Manor extract the heavenly yuan qi in the blood essence and then use it to cast a body? I can't extract it. Zhu Tiandao shook his head. He said regretfully, many people from Daming Manor are doing it, but the heaven yuan qi is absorbed into the bodies of the gods, demons, and monsters, turning into power. This thing is one with the blood essence. If you split the heaven yuan qi, the blood essence will be wasted, the blood essence will be wasted, and the heaven yuan qi will be gone. This is a contradiction. There is no way to neutralize it. Suyu nodded his head once again. He also felt that it was too difficult. Thinking of this, he asked again, Manor head, how is the heaven yuan qi inside the heaven yuan fruit preserved? It's hard to say. If you need it, I'll send you one or two later. Do you still have it at home? Suyu was a little surprised. He asked Zhu Hongliang, but Zhu Hongliang said that it was gone. Zhu Tiandao smiled and said, there are many divine and demonic realms and immortal realms with this thing. However, it's not like there aren't any human realms. I've already said that there's a place for both the Seeker stage and the War God Hall. Actually, there's also the Heaven Yuan fruit tree. Invincible families like us can get some every time we wait for the Heaven Yuan fruit to bear fruit. The Heaven Origin fruit tree will bloom in 3 years, bear fruit in 3 years, and mature in 3 years. It takes a total of 9 years. One Heaven Origin fruit tree will bear 36 fruits at once. The Quest Realm has 2 trees, and the War God Hall has 3. It will bear 180 fruits in 9 years. Zhu Tiandao laughed and said, if some invincible families have no descendants, they are too lazy to take them. Some families that are stationed at the Quest Realm and the War God Hall will ask for more. My Zhu family can probably get 2 fruits in 9 years. The invincible family only got 2 in 9 years. Actually, that was very little. However, with a long period of time, the Zhu family would be able to get 60 to 70 in a few hundred years. Thinking of this, Suyu suddenly asked, has this Heaven Origin fruit tree existed since a long time ago? That's not true. 300 years ago, the Great Qin and Great Zhou kings joined forces and sneaked into the immortal world. They took some Heaven Origin fruit trees in the immortal world and transplanted them back. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1214. 1214 Chapter 288, Heaven Vitality Extraction, 2. Suyu was stunned for a moment. Why did he want to go to the immortal world? Weren't the immortals neutral? Why didn't he go to the god and demon race to snatch it? He guessed Suyu's intention. Zhu Tiandao smiled and said, actually, it's also to test the waters. There are many reasons, so it's not convenient to say more. In addition, the existence of the immortals is a good thing as well as a bad thing. The god and demon race has never attacked the human race completely, and it has something to do with the immortals. Of course, the immortals aren't being kind either, because the strength of the leaders of the immortals is slightly weaker than the leaders of the god and demon race. In recent years, they've been in closed-door cultivation, so the immortals probably have the intention of stalling for time. Suyu nodded slightly. He thought for a moment and said, Mansion Master, their leaders are all half-emperors, right? What exactly is the strength of a half-emperor? Since there is a half-emperor, is there a real emperor? No. Zhu Tiandao smiled and said, half-emperor. This is what we say. They don't recognize it. However, some aboriginals do recognize it. According to the records of some aboriginals, the human race once had an emperor. After saying that, he laughed and said, therefore, no matter how strong the other worlds are, they can only be called half-emperors. Zhu Tiandao laughed and said, "The human race is very strong. This is publicly acknowledged. Just look at the ruins. After experiencing a great apocalypse, the strength of the human race declined. The former emperor and those invincible ones disappeared. They may have died or gone to explore the unknown world." Zhu Tiandao clearly knew much more than Su Yu. When they talked about this, he sighed and said, "Those people might have all met with a crisis or died. However, when they were about to leave or die, they didn't do nothing. At the very least, they sealed off the myriad world passage, the heavenly battlefield. Unfortunately, more than 300 years ago, the seal was broken. That's why there was a crisis in the human realm." Su Yu nodded. He had actually heard of this speculation before. The human realm had once had a great splendor. It was extremely glorious. The center of the myriad realms. It was said that the lack of suppression of the human realm was related to this point. It was not that the human realm did not exist, but that the human realm experts themselves had cancelled it. As the center of the myriad realms, the place where the heavens worshipped, there was no need to use suppression to suppress the myriad clans that came to worship. Unfortunately, the glory did not continue. Without discussing this further, Su Yu quickly said, "Manor head, I won't go to the search realm or the war god hall to avoid attracting some trouble. If you have the heaven origin fruit, just give me one. I'll do some research and analysis." "That's fine." Zhu Tiandao did not force it. If he were to go to the search realm, it might indeed be a little troublesome. The heaven origin chi was very rare and was the best holy ground for nurturing juniors. Even those invincible descendants felt that it was not enough. Letting an outsider like Su Yu snatch the opportunity might cause some trouble. After discussing the serious matter, Zhu Tiandao thought about it and reminded, "That little hairy ball that you brought, try to be careful. If you go to the heavenly battlefield, try not to leave the eastern war zone. There is someone behind this little guy. If he had a background, it was best not to bring it out of the human realm. If you go to the heavenly battlefield, it was best to keep it." Su Yu nodded. In the Sea of Will, the little hairy ball ignored him. It lay on the small hammer and looked into the depths of the Sea of Will. It could not see the golden atlas, but it could feel that it was the most fragrant. It was so fragrant that it wanted to drool. If it did not eat this, it would not leave. When would it eat this before it would leave? After chatting with Zhu Tiandao for a while, Su Yu also asked about his harvest. Recently, the spread of the primordial spirit scripture art was not small, and all the major manors had started to spread it. The number of people who exchanged for the first volume had already reached 40,000, and the number of people who exchanged for the second volume was a little less, only 10,000. Many people exchanged for cultivation techniques like this, one volume at a time. 50 points for one volume. After exchanging for 50,000 volumes, there was a total of 2.5 million points. According to the share, Su Yu could get 40%. That was 1 million merit points. As expected, the most profitable thing these days was to create cultivation techniques. If there were no other cultivation techniques to replace it, this amount of money could be collected by Su Yu for many years. 1 million points, it was a terrifying amount. However, Zhu Tiandao still explained, this thing requires a process. One step at a time. I'm afraid there's no way to retrieve it at the moment. If you need it, you can ask Daming Manor to advance it a little. Su Yu waved his hand, no need. It's fine to settle the accounts at the end of the year. I'll settle the accounts with the Great Xia Manor first. Back then, I had an agreement with the Great Xia Manor. For every portion of the joint aperture technique that is spread, I will be given 1 merit point. There will be even more warriors. I'm afraid that the number of people who spread it now is no less than 1 million. According to the 1 merit point per person, I will also have 1 million points in dividends. If Lord Xia did not mention it, Su Yu would not forget it. 1 merit point was already extremely little. Back then, he did not understand the distribution rules and almost gave it to the Xia family. If Su Yu earned 1,000,000 merit points, Lord Xia would be able to earn at least 10 times more. That would be the least. Furthermore, he might have also earned a fortune from the various manners licenses. The fighters were much more than civilized masters. Logically speaking, it was time to split the money. Therefore, Su Yu did not lack money now. He did not lack at all. It was just that he had not received the money yet. Zhu Tiandao laughed. That's true. Xiao Xia made a lot of money because of this fusion technique, but it's the end of the road. Once the highest version was released, he did not get the authorization, so the influence of the other two versions was greatly reduced. Su Yu did not say anything. In fact, it was not necessarily reduced by much. The low-level version only needed 18 enlightenment, while the high-level version required 36 enlightenment. Not everyone could easily get 36 enlightenment. Sometimes, when it came to cultivation techniques, the stronger the better, the easier the better. He had to settle with Master Xia Ho. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 12:15. 12:15 Chapter 288 Heaven Vitality Extraction, 3. If Su Yu did not look for him to settle the account, this fellow could pretend to be deaf and dumb until he died. The Xia family did not have any money. Su Yu had heard about this. They lacked money and had to raise so many troops. Lord Xia would be able to take whatever he could get. As for why he would need so much money, of course, it was to buy a large amount of blood essence. To extract a large amount of heaven yuan qi. Su Yu would definitely not be able to spend it all by himself. Even if he could not spend it all, he had to have it. Furthermore, he was preparing to nurture his own faction. How could he not have money? How could he not have resources? The most crucial point was to have pets. A little fur ball was enough for him to drink a pot of water. Thinking of this, Su Yu thought of the 3 great demons. He said, "Manor head, I'll have to trouble you to inform the great Xia manor. Send the 3 great demons to me earlier. I promised them back then to send them back to the myriad heavens battlefield. Even if I can't do it now, I won't go back on my word. They would be sent away sooner or later. Alright, I'll mention it to Xia Shaoer later. It's best if we talk again. The primordial spirit scripture hasn't been settled yet. I'm afraid Xia Shaoer would like to talk to you as well." The other parts of the great Xia manor had been settled, but the 3 great academies hadn't. This matter had to be discussed. After chatting with Zhu Tiandao, Su Yu didn't stay any longer. He called Wu Lan over and walked towards the research institute together. On the way, hearing that Wu Lan had only reached the 17th floor, Su Yu thought for a long time and comforted her, "You're a researcher. Research is the main focus. It's normal that you're not good at clearing the levels." Wu Lan could not be bothered with him. It was better not to comfort her. "You're also a researcher." Su Yu could not help but laugh. He said, "Actually, it's already very good. If you rely on your strength to clear the 20th floor, it would at least correspond to the top 3 of the top 100 in the Great Xia Manor. The 19th floor would be about the strength of the top 30 of the top 100. The 18th floor would be about the top 50. To be able to reach the 17th level, even if you were in the Great Xia Mansion, you would still be in the top 100. Wu Lan said gloomily, "Is the top 100 very powerful?" She did not think so. In the Great Xia Mansion, she had almost made it into the top 100. It had already been a few months. Everyone's strength is also improving. It's very normal. Su Yu glanced at her. Actually, her improvement was not slow. Now that she had reached the critical mass stage, her recuperation rate had exceeded 95%. This strength was considered decent in the past, but of course, it was a little weak now. Suyu smiled and said, actually, there's no need to cultivate the Aries art. I suggest you change it to the primordial spirit enlightenment technique. Isn't enlightenment just spending money? It's not like you don't have money. Buy more Earth origin fruits. 500 merit points for one. Buy him 30 to 50 merit points. After opening 50 to 60 apertures, the primordial spirit enlightenment technique will be almost complete. Wu Lan rolled her eyes. That would cost tens of thousands of merit points. I'm so stupid. Where did he get so much money? Earth essence fruits could open apertures, but it was only 1 or 2 apertures at a time. The cost was 500 merit points. As time went on, the effect became weaker. Seeing this, Suyu smiled and said, just buy it. Actually, if you don't buy it, I seem to have quite a lot here. It's a waste if you don't use it. I'll give it to you later. No. Just treat it as a dividend. Suyu smiled and said, the Primordial Spirit Research Institute has earned a lot of money. As the leader of the assault team, isn't it normal for you to receive a dividend of 10,000 to 20,000 merit points? There's the Primordial Spirit scripture. That thing isn't worth much. I can exchange it for 100 merit points now. Suyu smiled and said, so is the acupoint fusion technique. The merit points exchanged for it aren't high either. If it doesn't spread out, this thing is still valuable. If it spreads out, what's the use of something that can cost dozens of 100 merit points? After saying that, he added, it's not just you. Actually, I've also made up for some of the others. I didn't expect that the highest level of the aperture synthesis technique would be spread out so quickly, including Jiangmu, Xiaohuyo, and the others. I'll have some compensation in the future. This was the truth. At that time, he also didn't expect that the item would be spread out so quickly. Although they had learned it a few months in advance, looking at it now, it wasn't worth it. Now, they had invested a lot in the items that could be exchanged for dozens of merit points. They had expended a lot of energy. There were also Zhang Hao, Hu Zongqi, and the others from the association. Suyu would also give them some compensation in the future. Actually, learning it ahead of time was an advantage. However, Suyu felt that he was still being mistreated. He was a person who clearly distinguished between gratitude and grudges. He would do whatever he was supposed to do. As for Wu Lan, she had come all the way to Daming Manor. Suyu would not mistreat her either. He did indeed have a big box of Earth origin fruits. He did not use them either. It was a waste. There were at least 100 of them in that box. 100 of them were worth 50,000 merit points. However, Suyu was prepared to keep some for his father to use later. Of course, it was actually best if the Heaven Origin fruits were enlightened. The core of the Heaven Origin fruit was the Heaven Origin Qi. If one could extract the Heaven Origin Qi, the Earth Origin fruit was nothing. However, extracting the Heaven Origin Qi would probably cost a lot. One could only extract the Heaven Origin Qi with the blood essence of the Soaring Sky Realm. A drop of the Soaring Sky Realm blood essence was not cheap even if it was trash. If it was too trash, the Heaven Origin Qi content would be too low. One might even need to purchase some high-grade blood essence. This was where the money was spent. Wu Lan did not care what Suyu was thinking. When she heard that everyone had to make up for it, she smiled happily and said, then can I get that many Earth Yuan fruits? Of course, you are the leader of the assault team. Then I will switch to the Primordial Spirit Enlightenment technique. She had heard from Suyu that once she learned this cultivation technique, the subsequent enlightenment would be very fast. Suyu nodded, this cultivation technique is very good. After you cultivate it, if you feel that its lethality isn't strong enough, you can even look for a heaven-tier cultivation technique to cultivate. The subsequent enlightenment will be faster, and the closing of the aperture will be faster as well. Very soon, you will be able to reach the 9th level of the 10,000 stone realm. Otherwise, if you continue to grind like this, you won't be able to reach the 9th level of the 10,000 stone realm in less than a year or two. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 12:16 12:16 Chapter 288, Heaven Vitality Extract, 4. I'm a civilized master, not a warrior. Wu Lan did not really care about this and quickly said, I want to advance to the next level. I'm invincible among those of the same level, so I definitely can't do it. It's not bad if I advance earlier. You haven't opened too many god apertures, right? I've opened 8. Su Yu was speechless. Why were you in such a hurry to advance to the next level when you had opened so many? However, it was not considered slow. It had only been 2 months since he gave her the cultivation technique. After 2 months, she had opened 8 god's apertures. It was not considered slow. It should be done very quickly. It probably consumed a lot of willpower. It's best to open up to 72. Su Yu still advised, if you open up to 72, you'll be able to reach the Lingyun realm very soon. Wu Lan had a headache and said, but if I don't advance, my willpower is too weak and my efficiency is too low. Recently, I realized that I can't even read anymore. I've drawn 6 gods' runes. It takes too much willpower to nurture them and it's distracting. I've drawn 6 divine runes. So fast. Su Yu was slightly stunned. Wu Lan said gloomily, that's strange. When I arrived at the Great Ming Mansion, my drawing of divine runes became faster. My cultivation is also faster every night. 2 days ago, I casually looked at the text of will, and I've already drawn 1 divine rune. What was the point of drawing so many divine runes? She didn't want to draw too many divine runes either. Su Yu was slightly stunned. He roughly understood the effect of the fire, divine runes. He himself didn't feel it too obvious, but Wu Lan had gained quite a bit. This was because her willpower couldn't keep up with the consumption, causing her to be distracted and unable to concentrate on reading. This was very common, and she needed a large amount of treasure resources to replenish it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said that having more divine runes would cost her money. And this was only 6. When it reached 10 or 20, that would be even more troublesome. His senior sister, Wuxia, had also outlined a lot of things, so she didn't like to read. Cough cough, there was nothing she could do. She was too distracted and didn't have the energy to read anymore. Let's endure for a while first. I'll think of a way later. Su Yu comforted her. Not everyone was his. If there were too many divine texts, the burden would be huge. For example, Jin Sheng had too many divine texts. In fact, the burden was huge. The reason why he was unable to enter Lingyun for so long was all because of the divine texts. After returning to the research institute, Su Yu locked himself in the cultivation room. Heaven Origin Qi, Body Forging Technique, Primordial Spirit Aperture. Su Yu muttered to himself. Primordial Spirit Aperture. He had to try and see if opening 380 primordial spirit apertures with 180 primordial spirit apertures could make this thing appear automatically. In addition, opening 180 primordial spirit apertures did not have a self-sustaining cycle. Did this mean that it had not been opened to its limit? There were also 360 divine apertures. Forget it. Even if there were really 360 divine apertures, Su Yu did not have the mood to wait anymore. There were too few races that only cultivated the divine apertures. Up until now, he had only discovered the 5 cultivation techniques of the 5 elements race. Opening another 180 divine apertures. He did not know how long it would take for him to complete it. It was impossible for him to stay in cultivation for the rest of his life. No matter how strong his cultivation was, there was still a limit. At this moment, Su Yu was almost at his limit. His limit was so great that he could even fight against Lingyun. The connection of the 180 divine apertures has been opened. I won't be able to manifest my willpower directly, right? He was a little worried. Forget it, let's just get the heaven's origin chi first. How to preserve it was a huge problem. Divine runes. Which divine runes can quickly preserve the heaven's origin chi and prevent it from leaking out? Taking out a drop of blood essence, Suyu wanted to test if the divine runes he had could preserve the heaven yuan chi. After devouring the blood essence, the picture book was opened. Body forging technique was opened. A faint wisp of heaven yuan chi was emitted from the acupuncture points in his body. Suyu began to control the divine runes to enter his body and extract them directly. The blood divine runes were useless once they entered his body. This thing was good for blood essence but not for heaven yuan chi. Thunder, battle, blade, these divine runes were useless. However, Suyu soon discovered that the divine runes were useful. He was somewhat surprised. If the inward shadow barrier formed a ball, it seemed to be able to preserve it. That was right. The shadow barrier was to seal yuan chi from leaking out. This yuan chi also included heaven yuan chi. Suyu was surprised that the word divine text's enchantment could have such an effect. Previously, he felt that if it was useful, it might be the beast word divine text. This divine text had a space in it, so it might be able to preserve heaven yuan chi. After testing the beast word divine text again, Suyu sensed that heaven yuan chi could be stored in the demonic beast space. The key was, it could not be taken out. It's possible to raise demonic beasts. Suyu was deep in thought. The beast divine text was the mount space. If a large amount of heaven yuan chi was extracted into it, raising demonic beasts would definitely be very beneficial. Since the shadow barrier can be used, it saves me the trouble of looking for the divine text to outline it. In his hand, a dark sphere gradually took shape. This was the shadow barrier. When the divine text was at the first level, the barrier it could create was very small. It could only cover some acupuncture points. Suyu even felt that the divine text was useless. Now, after the divine text had been nurtured many times, it had also reached the second rank. In the 100 Dao Pavilion, it had even reached the peak of the second rank. This time, when he came out of seclusion, even Elder Yun and the others did not notice his change. It was because the barrier had become stronger. The peak of the second rank character's divine text was much more useful. Suyu thought for a moment and turned the barrier into a round ball the size of an apple. Once again, he swallowed a drop of iron-winged bird's blood essence. It was at the sky-soaring realm. A drop of demon essence blood essence could cost thousands of merit points for an ordinary demon essence blood essence. It was too expensive. The iron-winged bird was the most cost-effective one. In the early stage of the sky-soaring realm, one could get it at a low price of 20 merit points per drop. The difference was huge. Even for the late stage of the sky-soaring realm, 50 merit points would be enough for one drop. Of course, 50 merit points could only be obtained from people like Xiaohuyo. Compared to the deity blood essence, the difference of 50 times was 100 times greater. If the heaven yuan chi extracted could reach 1/50th of the deity blood essence, Suyu would not be at a loss. He would even make a profit. This was because the deity blood essence had a price but there was no market for it. On the other hand, the iron-winged bird's race blood essence was everywhere. Perhaps the price was about the same, but one could be found everywhere. It was easy to buy and sell, and the other was hard to find even with thousands of gold coins. The two were still different. Suyu did not think any further. This time, the blood essence exploded. Very quickly, wisps of weak heaven yuan chi were extracted by him. Through his fingers, they were finally injected into the shadow barrier. Gradually, a strand of thin, hair-like flowing yuan chi appeared in the dark shadow barrier. It was golden. This was heaven yuan chi. 20 merit points, and it's exchanged for just this little bit. Suyu also had a toothache. Previously, when little hairy ball had broken through, he had absorbed a lot of it. If he counted, it was at least 1,000 times more than this strand of heaven yuan qi. In that case, he had casually absorbed 20,000 merit points. Little hairy ball had absorbed at least 10 times more than him. He did not dare to think about it anymore. Forget it, some things really could not be bought with merit points. How much Tian Yuan Qi does that Tian Yuan fruit have? Suyu calculated in his heart. The value of the Tian Yuan fruit was also very high. Of course, this was a good thing, a treasure. It was also the kind that had a high price but no market. Back then, Suyu had even read a record that the son of the great Zhou king, Zhou Patian, had consumed the Tian Yuan fruit. Within 3 days, he had opened the 9 apertures of the heaven origin fruit. The quantity of this item was too small, and it was not something that could be bought on the market anyway. There are few things, but the value is high. Even if the price is cheap, I can't buy it myself. No matter what, being able to extract the heaven origin qi is the greatest benefit. As for whether the value was equal or not, that was not important. Suyu tried another blood essence, the fire dolphin blood essence. The heaven yuan qi extracted from the fire dolphin blood essence at the initial stage of the soaring stage was even less than that of the iron-winged bird. As for the price of the blood essence, it was slightly cheaper than the iron-winged bird. However, after taking a look, it did not seem to be worth it. Suyu continued to try the other types of blood essence. The one with the highest value was not the iron-winged bird blood essence, but the mountain-breaking bull. Suyu's gaze was extremely strange. When I opened my aperture, I had swallowed at least 1,000,000 stone realm mountain-breaking bull's blood essence. Could it be that I have to buy the sky-soaring realm mountain-breaking bull's blood essence? He was so innocent. Why don't I change to another type? He somewhat understood why the mountain-breaking bull clan's blood essence broke through their aperture so quickly. The cultivation technique was one point, and the other point was that it probably contained a lot of heaven yuan qi. The mountain-breaking bull clan definitely lives in a holy land that has heaven yuan qi. There must be. The price of the mountain ox blood essence was not cheap either. One would need at least 50 merit points to purchase it before reaching the initial stage of the soaring stage. One would have to ask someone to see if it would be cheaper to purchase it in large quantities. One would have to try again to see if the initial stage of Ling Yun was more cost-effective or if the mid-late stage of the soaring stage was cheaper. I'm sorry, it's your fault for being too fragrant. Suyu was helpless. I didn't want this. Many of the Pashan Ox clan had died because of me. If there was no trade, there would be no harm. But you guys really smell good. The same blood essence was used to extract the heaven origin energy. Each drop of your blood essence could extract 4 times the amount of the iron-winged bird. The difference in price was less than 3 times. The cost-benefit ratio was too high. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 12-17. 12-17 Chapter 289 Iron Eating 72 Casting 1. The blood essence of the mountain-breaking ox required a large amount of the blood essence of the mountain-breaking ox. Of course, if they didn't have it, they could exchange it for something else. It was a cost-effective issue. At most, they could spend a little more money. If they could extract the heaven yuan qi, no one would mind spending a little more money. Some things really weren't a matter of money. If the human race had enough heaven yuan qi, the heaven yuan fruit wouldn't be exclusive to the invincible descendants, and 2 invincible experts wouldn't have to sneak into the immortal world to seize the heaven yuan fruit tree. February 15th. Suyu received a Tian Yuan fruit from Zhu Tiandao. The old Zhu family was not rich either. If the juniors wanted to use it, they would need to use it as a reward for their meritorious service. They did not have much in reserve. If they could give one to Suyu, it was because Suyu was of great value. This was a golden fruit. It was not big, only the size of a fist. At this moment, the skin of the fruit was golden and slightly transparent. Inside, Tian Yuan Qi that was like dragons was swimming. In the laboratory, a few elders had come and were curious. Most people had only heard of the heavenly yuan fruit and had never seen it before. Living for a long time did not mean that they had seen it before. Even disciples from big families like Wu Lan had never seen it before. Wu Lan looked at it and said, "The Xia family also has this thing, but it seems to be very rare. It can save the time needed to open the yuan. Usually, it takes 5 to 6 years to open the yuan. If you use this, you can quickly open the yuan." Suyu asked curiously, "Is Xia Huyo useless?" If he had used it, he would have done so long ago. He would not have to spend so much time later. Wu Lan shook her head and said, "I don't know. The Xia family doesn't seem to use these things very often. Kaiyuan is also a process of accumulation. If the Kaiyuan is too fast, it might not be a good thing. During that period of time, if you focus on opening your mind, you will lose a lot of knowledge." The education methods of the various large families were different. Some people were willing to nurture a young prodigy, while others were unwilling to focus on cultivation when children were young. Instead, they were instilling other knowledge and spending more time to learn and experience. If one were to complete Kaiyuan at the age of 7 or 8, most of the energy in the later stages would be spent on awakening. Of course, this point varied from person to person, so Suyu could not judge anything. He carefully observed it and experienced it. A heaven origin fruit contained heaven origin qi, which was roughly equivalent to the heaven origin qi extracted from 50 drops of soaring blood essence. These 50 drops referred to the strength of the iron-winged bird, which was in the early soaring stage. 20 merit points per drop, it was worth at least 1,000 points. Of course, the heaven origin fruit couldn't be so cheap. This thing had a price but no market. Money couldn't buy it. 1,000 points can extract a heaven origin fruit, this is the iron-winged bird. If I use the mountain-breaking ox, I can save a quarter of the cost. Between 700 to 800 points, I can extract a heaven origin fruit. However, the heaven origin fruit was suitable for Kai Yuan, and it was also suitable for casting a body. However, the demand was too great. A single heaven origin fruit could provide about the same amount of heaven origin qi as a drop of primordial god clan or incipient demon clan's blood essence. Whether it was easy to obtain the heaven origin fruit or easier to kill the primordial god clan and primordial demon clan to soar into the sky. This was a measurement. Killing a soaring realm primordial god clan required at least 10 drops of blood essence, which was equivalent to 10 heaven origin fruits. This was not easy to compare. In any case, it was extremely difficult. Wen Zhong looked at it for a while and then looked at Suyu. "You're not planning to use this to cast a body, right?" He looked at Suyu and shook his head. "That's too much to ask for. Even if it's just 9 casts, it's not enough without 100, you can rob the quest stage or the war god hall. There's hope for you to get it." There were only 5 heaven origin fruit trees that were known to be at the human stage at the moment. 9 years would yield 180 fruit trees. The 5 years of production of the entire human stage would be enough for Suyu to cast his body 9 times. Unless Suyu's father was the emperor of the human realm. Otherwise. Let's wash up and sleep. No. Suyu smiled and said, "I'm just taking a look. There's another question. What's the difference between the heaven origin fruit and the heaven origin qi? If the heaven origin fruit tree is planted in a place that contains heaven origin qi, why not directly absorb the heaven origin qi and plant the tree instead?" This Wen Zhong knew. He smiled and said, "Heaven origin qi is relatively strong. If it's used to cast a body, it can be used directly. However, with Kai Yuan's realm, it can't be used. If it's used, it might explode. The Heaven Origin fruit was used to convert Heaven Origin Qi into a mild form, allowing Kai Yuan to use it. The human race doesn't have much Heaven Origin Qi. In fact, if it's used to cast a body, it would be too wasteful. It's better to cultivate some geniuses and use them to open up the Yuan. Suyu nodded. Powerful, tyrannical, and splitting the Yuan couldn't withstand it. The Heaven Yuan Qi he extracted didn't feel as tyrannical or powerful. In other words, the Atlas might have undergone a transformation, similar to the Heaven Yuan fruit tree's effect. It was the violent type, turning into the gentle type. Then where exactly does Heaven Yuan Qi exist? Suyu asked in puzzlement, why does the sacred land have it, but the human race doesn't have it in other places? Wen Zhong shook his head. By the side. Chao Hui, who had researched the 9 stars casting movement technique, smiled and said, I've done some research and verification on this. There are many places where Heaven Yuan Qi exists, and it's not just in the human realm sacred lands. Of course, there are many human realm sacred lands, and it's continuous. This is the key. Great worlds like the gods, demons, immortals, and dragons also have places like this where Heaven Yuan Qi is continuous. Actually, the Heaven Yuan Qi exists everywhere, including the Yuan Qi we use. It is also converted from the Heaven Yuan Qi. Chao Hui explained, the Yuan Qi between the heaven and earth is naturally born in the great worlds. Naturally born is the Heaven Yuan Qi, but there are humans, monsters, and living creatures. Soon, these Yuan Qi will be contaminated and turn into pure Yuan Qi. Therefore, the blood essence has Heaven Yuan Qi, even if the other party does not live in the Heaven Yuan Qi domain. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1218. 1218 Chapter 289 Cast Iron 722. Suyu nodded and asked, then why are there places that can preserve heavenly Yuan Qi? Under normal circumstances. Chao Hui paused for a moment before saying, I have some speculations, but I don't know if it's true or not, so I can't be sure. Let me put it simply. There are 2 possible places where heavenly Yuan Qi is born. The first is the core of the realm. The second is the invincible fallen ground. The core of the realm is the place where the world extracts the Heaven Yuan Qi for purification. It's normal for there to be a large amount of Heaven Yuan Qi in this place for a long time. The second is the invincible fallen ground. The invincible has already involved something in the realm of laws. The death of such an expert will lead to the extinction of the creatures in the nearby area. Space and time will even be in disorder. The rules will lead to some places having the conditions to preserve the Heaven Yuan Qi. When Zhong raised his eyebrows and said, Junior Brother Jin's words, which one is the Quest Realm or the War God Hall? The former is more likely. Jin Xing explained, the Twin Saint Manors might be the core area of the human realm. Of course, this core might not be easy to find. As for the latter, it seems that no invincible has fallen there. Jin Xing said, then he said, of course, it's not certain. It's possible that invincible fell there in ancient times. In fact, some ancient ruins might have some Heaven Yuan Qi domains. Some ancient ruins might be where the clans and sects are located, or similar to where our academy is located. In such places, there are some people who passed away in meditation. For example, invincible passing away in meditation might form Heaven Yuan Qi domains. He added, in the realms of gods, immortals, and demons, the Heaven Yuan Qi is usually born based on these 2 conditions. Suyu nodded once again. He had learned a lot. These elders really knew everything. Here, one could ask any question, and most of the time, one would get an answer. Then, in the 2 sacred lands of the human race, are there some people who directly use the Heaven Yuan Qi to cast their bodies? Just as he asked this, Wen Zhong interrupted, "Don't think too much. The heavenly Yuan Qi domain will not be casually entered by anyone. Not only will it waste heavenly Yuan Qi, it will also easily pollute it. Under normal circumstances, an invincible family clan might be given a spot in about 50 years. On average, about one person will enter the casting body every year. That also means that within 50 years, this family clan will not be able to get any heavenly yuan fruits. This is the price. The invincible family clan is the threshold." Su Yu was slightly moved. Zhu Tiandao had said that if he wanted to go, he could apply for it. In 50 years, he would be given more than 10 heaven origin fruits. This was the price he had to pay. And in 50 years, the Zhu family could not allow anyone to cast their bodies a second time. This opportunity was given to Su Yu in an understatement. Su Yu had only rejected it. He was not too clear about this before. He had thought that the descendants of the invincible clan would be able to go as they pleased. When Zhong saw that he was thinking about something, he smiled and said, "You can go and try it out with Manor Head. It seems that the Zhu clan hasn't sent anyone to the sacred land to cast their bodies in a few years. The Zhu clan usually uses the blood essence of gods and demons to cast their bodies. Under normal circumstances, the number of times they cast their bodies isn't much. Using the blood essence of gods and demons is enough. Only those who cast their bodies many times would go to the sacred land and use this method to cast their bodies. Rather than casting one person, it was better to split more heaven essence fruits. Heaven essence fruits were rare, and the blood essence of gods and demons could sometimes kill a few people. The balance between the two depended on demand. Su Yu smiled and shook his head without saying anything else. Forget it. There was no need. For the heaven essence Qi, he had wasted the Zhu family's once, in 50 years opportunity. That debt was too great. Moreover, he had a way to extract it. At this moment, Su Yu had also figured out many things. Next, it was time to extract the heaven yuan qi in large quantities. Su Yu looked at the heaven yuan fruit and suddenly said, "Senior brothers, I feel that this layer of skin wrapped around the heaven yuan fruit is a little special. Senior brothers, can you copy it?" When these words were said, Wen Zhong could not help but laugh. "Your eyesight is not bad. I thought that you were just staring at the heaven origin qi inside the fruit. This skin is actually a good thing. It can preserve heaven origin qi. If this skin can be mass-produced, it is actually the best method to seal some treasures. This thing is natural. If it is copied, it will be quite difficult. However, if we can research something, there is still hope." Just as he said that, Su Yu tore open the fruit's skin. At the instant the heaven yuan qi spread out, he waved his hand and the fruit landed in front of Wu Lan. Heaven yuan qi instantly surged into her mouth. Su Yu said casually, "Open a few openings, don't waste it." With that said, he took away the fruit's skin. He did not care about Wu Lan's widened eyes, nor did he care about the ambiguous gazes of his senior brothers. He said with a smile, "Senior brothers, I'll have to trouble you to study this peel and see if you can replicate it. Use this thing to seal some treasures. Yuan Qi will not flow away, and it can even seal willpower. It's a very useful thing." The few of them nodded. When Zhong thought for a moment and said, "This can be done. Let's give it a try. It just so happens that there aren't any particularly important missions recently." Su Yu smiled and said, "Senior brothers, feel free to tell me how much money you need to use. Anything that can be solved with money isn't a problem. There's money. I'm about to make a large sum of money. It was fine to use the heaven essence qi for myself, but once it was used by outsiders in the future, it would be best to find some excuses and forge it into a heaven essence fruit." There were few heaven essence fruits, but it wasn't that there weren't any. Taking out a small amount at once, it was enough to make some people doubt whether there was a heaven yuan qi holy land in the ruins under Su Yu's control, and there was a heaven yuan fruit tree in this place. Su Yu was thinking, could there be other ruins as well? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1219. 1219 Chapter 289 Iron Eating 72 Casting 3. Also, those unrivaled officials came out of the ruins. Were the ruins still there? Or was it that the ruins were destroyed after the Tao was attained? This was not easy to ask. If you asked, those unrivaled officials might think that you had designs on his Tao. The few elders did not say anything. They quickly went to work and took away the peel. As for Su Yu, he was extremely wasteful. He gave this thing to Wu Lan to eat. Forget it, as long as you're happy. Wu Lan was already in danger. The sky origin fruit was too much to give her a few openings. It was too wasteful. She might as well use the earth origin fruit. Su Yu, this fellow, was very rich. Su Yu did not care about that. Wu Lan sat cross-legged in seclusion to open her openings. Su Yu also did not care about her. As he walked, he took out a special voice transmission talisman. I want to discuss something with the Xia family. Are you coming this time? After a while, in the great Xia mansion, Xia Huyo narrowed his eyes and smiled. He replied, Teacher Su, are you missing me? Stop bullshitting. Su Yu quickly replied, if you come, I'll let you handle something. Of course, there will be benefits. Tell me about it. I want to make a deal, but I don't want others to know about it. It's a small matter. What deal? The Great Ming Mansion can't do it, but they actually came to me. Su Yu smiled. It wasn't that Daming Manor couldn't do it, but it was that Daming Manor didn't have as much blood essence as the Great Xia Manor. The Great Xia Manor had killed too many people, and they had a large amount of blood essence reserves. And in Daming Manor, they didn't have enough blood essence reserves, and they couldn't go looking for Zhu Tiandao for everything. Directly exchanging for it was too much of a loss. Mountain-breaking ox blood essence. Speechless. Xia Huyo didn't expect that after Su Yu arrived at Daming Manor, he would still be thinking about the mountain-breaking ox blood essence. He would not stop until the Pashan Ox clan was dead. How did he offend you? How much do you want? I don't want the low-level ones. I want the high-level ones from Lingyun middle stage. No limit. I want them cheap. No limit. At this moment, Xia Huyo instantly stood up. What the F***CK? What did he mean by no limit? How much is no limit? I want as much as I can get. Su Yu quickly said, cut the crap. Give me a price. You have a lot of connections. Also, your connections should be through the Xia family. However, I don't want Master Xia Ho to know that this blood essence is flowing to me. Scram. How can I not know about such a huge amount? Xia Huyo was speechless. Are you kidding me? You, the son of the manor head, don't have any connections of your own. Yes, but you want too much. It's not that simple. Great Xia Mansion, Great Xia Civilization Academy. Xia Huyo stood up and started to walk around. He wanted more blood essence. This fellow wanted so much blood essence. Could it be that he was planning to use the mountain-breaking bull's blood essence to cast his body? Not to mention, the effect of the mountain-breaking bull's body casting was not bad. Many people could not afford to use the god and devil blood essence. In the end, there were some who chose to use the mountain-breaking bull's blood essence. Those in the soaring stage are divided into 3 grades. I'll give you the lowest price. 50, 80, 100 points. Ling Yun's is more expensive. According to the advanced stage, 300, 500, 1000 points. Ling Yun's advanced stage had already reached 1000 points. Su Yu was also speechless. Go and snatch it. However, the mountain ox was still one of the top 100 races. At the advanced stage of Ling Yun, the mountain ox was no easier to kill than the geniuses of the human killer race. It could be considered as a small clan's weak mountain sea. Killing a mountain ox could earn 10,000 merit points. Moreover, it was in a dangerous area like the celestial battlefield. There were many procedures in between, so it wasn't too expensive. Suyu couldn't use it now, but when his physical body entered the sky, it wouldn't be a big problem for him to devour the blood essence of the later stage of Lingyun. Suyu didn't try too much. He tried the effect of the blood essence of the mountain ox at the early stage of the sky. After thinking for a while, he replied, "Give me some of each of them. I can't kill them all at the same level. Give me 100 drops of each of them first. Ling Yun, give me 10 drops to try." That much? It's already 113,000 merit points. Are you sure? Xia Huyo was shocked. What the F***ck, what are you trying to do? Try the water. You just ordered over 100,000 merit points of blood essence. That also meant that for every level, at least 10 or so mountain-breaking bulls would be killed. Did the mountain-breaking bulls offend you? Suyu also felt the pinch, it was really expensive. But counting it down, it was still okay. Counting his 800 merit points in exchange for a Tian Yuan fruit, he could probably extract over 100 Tian Yuan fruits. Over 100 Tian Yuan fruits, sold for over 100,000 merit points, do you want it? You won't even be able to snatch them. According to the budget, this amount would at most be enough for Suyu's body to be forged 9 times. He was a gold-swallowing beast. Of course, he wasn't that strong if he didn't swallow gold. If he didn't swallow gold, he wouldn't be able to fight Ling Yun in a calm manner. If he wanted to become stronger quickly, he had to spend money. Some of the invincible descendants might not spend less than him, but their combat strength wasn't even as good as his. They could only enter the Heaven Origin Chief's sacred land to be forged once. This was something money couldn't buy, and it didn't show how powerful those invincible descendants were. They were still spending his own money, which made Suyu's heart ache, but he was willing to part with it. I'm sure. If it doesn't work, it's fine to double it for me. I need a large amount. Too much. Xia Huyu gritted his teeth in pain. He had to kill dozens of mountain-breaking oxen in the air. He would only have the opportunity to do so if he were to engage in a large-scale battle with the mountain-breaking oxen tribe. Otherwise, he would not have the opportunity to do so in a small-scale battle. Then I don't care. If you can't get it, you can help me get some iron-winged bird's blood essence, or the Cloud Tiger tribe. Do you have this? Doesn't the Great Xia Mansion happen to be at war with the Cloud Tiger tribe? The Cloud Tiger tribe was actually not bad. This. I do have it. Do you want it? Yes. Alright, this is much easier than the mountain-breaking oxen. If you want 1 million merit points, I'll get it for you. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1220. 1220 Chapter 289 Iron Eating 72 Casting 4. Xia Huyo had a relaxed expression on his face. There really was such a thing. The Cloud Tiger clan had not been exterminated and had escaped quite a number of times. Now that they had run into the territory of the Flying Tigers, it would not be good for the Great Xia Manor to make any more moves. Beating the Cloud Tiger clan was still fine, but the Flying Tigers were not low-ranked, there was an invincible person in the clan. Even so, they had killed at least 5,000 Cloud Tigers over the past few days. They had killed so much that the Cloud Tiger clan wished they could grind the bones of Xia Qing and the others into ashes. Of course, they would not have the chance. Keep it a secret, Fatty Xia. If you leak it to me, we won't have to deal with each other in the future. It's not a big deal. Xia Huyo quickly replied, all right then. How about this? If my second grandfather goes to Daming Manor this time, I'll go along with him and bring the things along with me. Also, you bastard, you're not being honest. You've almost made the divine aperture technique public for free. Scram. I gave you the second set, but the second set that was made public is different. I know it in my heart. Alright then, it wasn't good for Xia Huyo to say anything else. He quickly replied, I've reached the 9th layer of the 10,000 stones realm and will soon be forging a physical body. Do you want to purchase some demonic god essence blood? Relying on the mountain-shattering bull essence blood to pile it up isn't a good idea. I don't need it. Xia Huyo's mouth twitched. Was this the demonic blood essence provided by the Daming Manor? Forget it, he couldn't be bothered with it. Su Yu's strength had probably improved by a lot, and he was probably preparing to cast his physical body. After thinking for a moment, he then said, let me say one more thing. Your martial uncle has gone out recently. He's the mountain and sea realm, so I can't control him. However, I'll help you take care of your senior sister's side. You can rest assured about this, this isn't the main point. The main point is that you have to take care of yourself. Recently, there's news that Lan Tian might have his eyes on you. Do as you see fit. That fellow is elusive, so you have to be careful. Lan Tian. That's right. That's him. Previously, his student, Li Minyu, was exposed, but after some investigation, I realized that it was just a coincidence. Guess what happened? That fellow, Lan Tian, is really audacious. He has been hiding in the academy all this while. Guess who Lan Tian is disguised as? If you don't want to guess, just tell me. Zhao Ming. Su Yu fell silent for a long time before replying, are you not joking with me? Why would I be joking with you? After Li Minyu was exposed, Zhao Ming Laoshe disappeared. We only suspect him, we aren't sure. But, the suspicion is huge. The heck, thinking about how I often played cards with him in the Primordial Spirit Research Institute. I shudder. Zhao Ming Laoshe has been in the academy for quite some time, right? That's right. Xia Huyo was also astonished by the message, don't you think it's scary? The head of the referee team of the top 100. A core figure of the neutral faction. He has been with us for such a long time. Come to think of it, no one has ever suspected him. Even if Li Minyu was exposed, no one has ever suspected him, he probably left on his own. My guess is that he probably went to look for you. Otherwise, if he didn't leave, no one would have noticed anything amiss. Terrifying. Su Yu was also alarmed. Zhao Ming. Lan Tian. Holy shit. When he was in the Primordial Spirit Research Institute, he often interacted with Zhao Ming. Not only that, he had already gotten to know Zhao Ming since the first time they fought in the top 100. This was Lan Tian. Shirma Master. If he were to kill Su Yu, it would really be a piece of cake. No one noticed this. Su Yu gulped, feeling a little scared. He subconsciously looked downstairs. Holy shit, none of the elders on my side were disguised by Lan Tian, right? If there were, it would be too terrifying. Was it so difficult to find a transformation department madman? On the side of the Great Xia Manor, the Great Xia Emperor would sometimes go back, but he didn't notice anything unusual. Was a transformation department at the Sun-Moon realm that scary? Zhao Ming. Blue sky. Su Yu's eyes kept flickering. He still remembered that the first time he went to the Blue Sky Research Institute, which was later the Primordial Spirit Research Institute, Zhao Ming had said something. Zhao Ming had said that, Blue Sky is a genius, while Chen Yong had said that he was a traitor. Zhao Ming didn't say much, but in between the words, he still mentioned that Blue Sky was a genius and a monster. He was a true genius, and even a traitor couldn't cover up all of this. Blue Sky Research Institute. This was also the first time Zhao Ming mentioned it. Su Yu's eyes flickered. He was Blue Sky. Zhao Ming had entered the academy for several decades, while Blue Sky had only defected for 20 years. Thinking of this, Suyu thought of Zhao Ming's enrollment time. There was once when Zhao Ming himself said that he had entered the academy 10 years earlier than Xia Yuan. Xia Yuan had entered the academy around the same time as Bai Feng. Bai Feng had entered the academy for 9 years last year, which meant the time was roughly the same. After Blue Sky defected, Zhao Ming had entered the academy. Suyu was speechless. He sent a message. Does that mean that after Lan Tian defected, he actually sneaked back to the Great Xia Civilization University? Yes, it happened before and after. Lan Tian defected during the holidays. It was the same year. Zhao Ming entered the university about a month later. F***ck. Suyu was speechless. How fierce. You defected before and then ran back. You sneaked back for nearly 20 years. What's this guy doing in the Great Xia Institute of Civilization? Is the Great Xia Institute of Civilization so good that it's worth you staying here for decades? Also, you've been in hiding for so long. Why are you running? You're not really here to find me, are you? I'm a little scared. I didn't offend you. No. I've smashed the Blue Sky Research Institute's reputation. F***ck, I'm not going to be targeted by him because of this, am I? I even said a few words that a person like Blue Sky should be killed. Could it be that I've offended the other party? Zhao Ming. Blue Sky. This matter would probably not be made public by the Great Xia Manor. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1221. 1221 Chapter 289 Iron Consumption 72 Casting 5. Being infiltrated by the Blue Sky for dozens of years, it was hard to say. If word got out, people would be terrified. The cult master of the Origin Devil had been hiding in your Great Xia Manor for dozens of years, yet you didn't realize it. Isn't the Great Xia Manor too weak? Suyu took a deep breath again. It was really troublesome to have such a person. He had hidden himself too well. Fatty, do you have any way to identify him? If he didn't have any, it would be too troublesome. That's hard to say. How about this? I'll talk to you in detail when I get to Daming Prefecture later. You won't be replaced, right? **T, he's almost crazy. I interact with my second grandfather every day. It's fine if it's just once or twice, but if I interact with him every day, no matter how powerful he is, he'll still be exposed. That was hard to say. In the academy, there was still the 10,000 heavenly saints. Wasn't he also well hidden? However, that was also true. No matter how bold that fellow was, he wouldn't dare to keep in contact with the Xia family's experts. The probability of being exposed was too high. Suyu didn't say anything more to Xia Huyo. Very soon, he left the research institute and went to exchange for a batch of blood essence first. At the very least, he had settled the matter with the Iron Eater beast. First, he had to exchange for a drop of blood essence. He was just a little suspicious. Had I ever been killed by an iron-eating beast? That fellow only knew how to eat. Had he ever killed me? He did not know. Let's give it a try. It was not difficult for the 3 small iron-eating beasts to open their yuan. 3 to 5 heaven origin fruits would do. If they could not, they would have to give more. The consumption of blood essence was not small. It would be enough to replenish the amount of 2 heaven origin fruits. The cost of 7 to 8 heaven origin fruits was at most 7,000 merit points. 7,000 merit points in exchange for a drop of the little iron beast's essence blood. Of course, this business would suffer a huge loss. However, sometimes, money was secondary, so there was no need to snatch it. If Su Yu really wanted to forcefully extract a drop of the little iron beast's essence blood, even if the fat man was not willing, the Zhu family would calm him down. Then, there was no need. Not only did he owe the Zhu family a favor, but he also offended the fat iron beast. That fellow was not weak. The sun and moon could not touch it. Even if its explosive power was not as strong as the sun and moon, ordinary mountains and seas would definitely not be its match. There was no need to turn friends into enemies. If he gave it 3 baby Kai Yuan, the fat man would still have to thank him. Su Yu went to the exchange office of the institute and exchanged for a batch of blood essence at a high price. Fortunately, he had bought the research institute and still had tens of thousands of merit points on hand, which was enough to spend. After returning to the research institute and spending an entire night, Su Yu extracted all the blood essence he had exchanged into Heaven Yuan Qi. Without any delay, he quickly went to look for that silly fatty. Beast Tamer Academy. It wasn't that lively today. Su Yu searched for a while, but he didn't find Zhu Hongliang. Instead, he found the silly fatty who was all alone and eating bamboo by the side of a small hill. Not far away from him, there was also a huge white bear. This was the big round ball that others were talking about. Of course, the big round ball did not come over and was quite a distance away from the silly fatty. Su Yu snickered. Was he trying to cover up? Or was he trying to steal the bell? Was he pretending not to know him? The silly fatty who was eating bamboo raised his head and looked at Su Yu. In the next moment, his voice sounded in Su Yu's mind, "Are you here to exchange for blood essence?" "Yes." Just as Su Yu finished speaking, his vision blurred. Fatty Han appeared in front of him. He squatted on the ground and continued to eat bamboo. A muffled voice sounded, "Do you have enough heaven origin fruits? You need at least 3 to build the foundation for the 3 little balls." "Yes." Fatty Han looked up at him with a surprised look. There really was 3, that was not a small number. Su Yu did not say much. "In my research institute, if you are at ease, I will bring the 3 little fellows to my research institute and extract a drop of blood essence. There are many people outside who are noisy. If someone sees me, I will not be able to explain myself. If I feed the heaven origin fruit to the little ball, I will be scolded to death." The fatty glanced at him and said telepathically, "There is nothing to be worried about. You cannot run away from the Great Ming Mansion. Don't try to fool me. Just use some earth origin fruit and say that it is a heaven origin fruit. I can see it." "Of course." Su Yu smiled and said, "When dealing with me, Su Yu, I will never let anyone suffer any losses. I will also give enough compensation for extracting the blood essence. That, may I ask, is this little ball pure in blood?" The fatty looked at him with his black eyes and said after a long while, "Of course." Of course, it was a super demon. Its bloodline was much stronger than the big ball. The remaining little balls naturally inherited its bloodline. Then there's no problem. Su Yu also saw the 3 small balls that were shaking their butts and running. He smiled and said, "Then I'll bring them back now. I'll send them out tomorrow morning. If you're worried, you can wait for me outside the research institute, but not inside. After all, there are a lot of secrets." The silly fatty ate some bamboo and transmitted his voice, "All right then. You can't lie, or else I'll get angry." Getting angry was very scary. Su Yu smiled and nodded. This time, everything was really ready. He quickly ran over and picked up the 3 little bears. The big ball stared at Su Yu. Its strength was not weak either. Su Yu felt that it had the strength of Ling Yun, but Su Yu was not worried. As expected, just as the big ball was about to roar, it suddenly quieted down. Looking at the fatty, the bear's eyes were filled with tenderness. F***ck. He was fed dog food by 2 bears. Su Yu was also speechless. He couldn't be bothered to look at it anymore. He quickly carried the 3 little balls and disappeared from the Beast Tamer school. Not long after he left, the Beast Tamer school was in chaos. It's over, someone stole the little balls. They're gone. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1222. 1222 Chapter 289 Iron Eating 72 Casting 6. I think I just saw someone run away with a small ball. It's a thief. There's a thief in our academy. In an instant, the Beast Tamer Academy was in an uproar. At this moment, Suyu had already returned to the research institute with 3 small balls. After entering the door and looking at the 3 small balls, Suyu snickered. You guys are it. At such a young age, their skin was already rough and their flesh was thick. This was even before they had grown up under the Heaven Yuan Qi environment. Could it be that this iron-eating beast clan was also an ancient race? However, the other party was ranked in the top 100. As for whether they were an ancient race or not, Suyu was not sure. As long as this race was invincible, it would be correct. Suyu quickly grabbed one and roughly recognized it. It was the number 1 small ball from last time. You are it. I will give you some delicious food later and then draw your blood. You are so young, it has only been more than a month. You probably don't know the pain of drawing blood. Suyu quickly entered the laboratory and began to draw blood. In an instant, he stuffed an object the size of a small apple into the small ball's mouth. Sure enough, with food, this guy forgot everything and allowed Suyu to draw blood. The extraction of blood essence consumed a lot of blood, close to 1/10 of it. However, Suyu had stuffed a lot of Heaven Yuan Qi into it, so the little guy did not care too much. He was just enjoying it. More than 10 minutes later, Suyu extracted a drop of blood essence. The small ball that was still eating turned its head to look at him, as if it was a little confused. What did you do to me? Suyu was too lazy to talk nonsense. He stuffed another ball into its mouth, instantly making it forget everything. As for Suyu, he did not care about it anymore. He quickly left, entered the secret room, and devoured the blood essence to open the atlas. He was too weak. He was only at the origin awakening realm. If the body forging technique was not a talent skill or a basic origin technique, then he would be in big trouble. He would have to fly out. He swallowed a drop of blood essence without any reaction. He was too weak. The current Suyu could even withstand Ling Yun's blood essence, let alone this one. In the blink of an eye, Suyu felt a little uneasy. He had to kill me. If you don't kill me, then I'll have wasted so much of my heavenly Yuan Qi. Fortunately, in the next moment, there was a slight reaction from the Golden Atlas. Suyu was overjoyed. Finally. I was killed by a bear. Iron Eater Beast level of Kaiyuan. Race skills, Iron Eater 72 cast, Blood Essence activated, Void Devouring, unactivated, Sky Shaking Strike, unactivated. Basic Elemental Skill, Iron Eating Skill, unactivated. Suyu was slightly shocked. There was still an unactivated talent skill. It was activated based on one's strength. That wasn't important, what was important was that I forgot one thing. I still needed a drop of blood essence. F***ck, I forgot. L litlet bulb no. Number 1 can't take it animo why doi don't we f no. Number 2 to extract a drop. He was still a little happy. This Iron 72 casting, this was the body forging technique, right? Innate casting technique, the existence of innate skills. This race's body was terrifying for a reason. Also, as expected, Fatty Han was a liar. That devouring void, sky shaking strike, don't tell me, this is just a decoration. Fatty Han definitely activated these innate skills. Perhaps, this guy's destructive power was not weaker than his defense. 3 great innate skills. 72 casting. Don't tell me it's really going to be cast 72 times. Su Yu was speechless. It was even stronger than the body casting technique of the god and demon race. How much heaven yuan qi would it take? After casting 72 times, would he be able to soar to the 9th layer and kill mountains and seas? It felt like it was possible. I'm so terrifying. Su Yu sighed. My soaring 9th layer might be able to be raised by 2 levels. One had to know that the stronger one was, the harder it was to leap levels. I'm too scary. Su Yu sighed again. Keep a low profile. I must keep a low profile next time. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1223. 1223 Chapter 290 is about to be released 1. In the laboratory, Su Yu carried the number 2 small ball. The same move, feeding and blood drawing. Sure enough, this race was like this, giving everything to eat was easy. When drawing blood, they were extremely obedient and had nothing to say. Of course, after drawing blood, they still had to look at Su Yu. Perhaps they communicated with the number 1 small ball and felt that giving 1 sugar was not enough, they had to ask for 2. Su Yu stuffed another fake apple to replenish the nutrients. Otherwise, if Fatty Han knew that he had taken an extra drop of blood essence, he might not be happy. After settling the second drop of blood essence, Su Yu did not stop and returned to the cultivation room once again. Devouring blood essence, activating talent skill. 72 cast. The instant the talent skill was activated, Su Yu carefully sensed that the 152 acupuncture points in his body were emitting a faint energy. It wasn't heaven yuan qi, it was simply yuan qi seeping out. Very soon, the energy disappeared. There was nothing he could do, the yuan opening realm round ball was too weak. As for Su Yu, he didn't have the time to care about this as he fell into a state of shock. This iron-eating beast clan had their innate skill activated 152 apertures. Holy shit! The primordial divine race's innate skill, divine transformation, also activated 152 apertures. Of course, divine transformation was an offensive talent, while the iron-eating beast clans was a casting-type talent. However, they all stood at the highest point. Su Yu was extremely surprised. What did this mean? It meant that the Iron Eater race was actually on the same level as the primordial divine race and the primordial demon race. Ancient race. Su Yu muttered. This Iron Eater race was definitely an ancient race. So was Little Hairy Ball. The strength and talent of these ancient races were not inferior to the primordial divine race and the primordial demon race. At the very least, the Little Hairy Ball that he had encountered was the same as this iron-eating beast. Everyone's development direction was different. The Little Hairy Ball's strength was focused on the sea of will and divine inscriptions. The iron-eating beast's strength was in its unparalleled body-forging technique and defensive power. The God race's God transformation technique was an incomparably powerful offensive battle technique, while the primitive demon race's Mo Lin was also an offensive battle technique. In Su Yu's opinion, these few races were of similar levels. 152 acupuncture points, using these acupuncture points to extract the Heaven Yuan Qi to cast the body. Since young, it has been casting the body automatically. It would be strange if it wasn't strong. Su Yu was speechless. 72 casting. Just from the body alone, the Iron Eater beast should be stronger than the gods and demons of the same level. However, the other innate skills of the Iron Eater beast were probably not top-notch. They should not be as good as the Primogenitor clan and the Protoss clan. Although the little ball was too weak and its blood essence was not strong enough, Su Yu had grasped the 152 openings that his innate skill had opened. According to the way the Iron Eater beasts operated, he should be able to cast his body 72 times. I can give it a simple try. Suyu began to cast his body according to the feeling he had just felt. The 152 openings began to devour energy and yuan qi. However, they did not use Tian yuan qi. At this speed, one casting would take an unknown amount of time. Suyu did not hesitate. He quickly took out some heaven yuan qi and began to absorb it. After completing the casting, he would be considered to have entered the soaring sky realm. Of course, it was not that simple after completing the casting. The body was cast with the bones and flesh of the entire body. Once the entire body was reborn, it would be considered to have been cast. A large amount of heaven yuan qi was consumed by him. The heaven yuan qi that he had extracted from the blood essence that he had purchased earlier disappeared very quickly. As for Suyu, the pores on his skin gradually began to shrink. A faint golden color appeared on his skin. Suyu's eyes moved slightly and the heaven yuan qi began to gather towards his right hand. He wanted to try first and see how much more powerful his right hand would be if he cast it. The heaven yuan qi he stored was becoming less and less. Meanwhile, the skin on Suyu's right hand gradually began to glow with a golden light. After a while, Suyu stopped his movements. He frowned slightly. The casting process was so slow. It would take at least a month to complete the first cast. He needed to cast it at 72 points, and the slower he got to the later stages, the slower it would be. If it was so slow, he would need 5 to 6 years to complete the first cast. I still don't have enough heaven yuan qi. If the entire secret chamber is filled with heaven yuan qi, I should be able to complete the first cast very quickly if I live in an environment with heaven yuan qi. Completing the first cast would raise his strength by 10%. This was the strength behind casting. Suyu made a rough judgment. Even if he had sufficient heaven yuan qi, it would still be difficult for him to complete the first cast without 10 days to half a month. 72 casting would take at least 2 to 3 years. But raising his strength. Suyu sucked in a breath of cold air. 72 casting, if he really had to raise his strength by 10% every time he completed the first cast, what kind of concept would that be? His current strength was only 9 apertures, which was equivalent to the strength of 1,800 apertures. 72 times of body casting, 1 times to the 72nd power. Suyu's brain rapidly revolved and came up with a dumbstruck number, 955 times. In other words, at the end of body casting, his strength had increased to the strength of 1,720,000 apertures. Suyu swallowed his saliva, he muttered, counting the Protoss and demons, 144 apertures, 9 layers of 10,000 stones, and 16 fused apertures. In the end, it would be about 400 apertures strength. With 36 apertures in the air, it would only be about 31 times stronger, which would be about 12,400 apertures strength. As for Ling Yun's 9 transformations, how much strength would a first transformation of vitality increase? Suyu did some calculations. Was it really that terrifying? After 72 transformations, his strength was about 200 times that of the primordial gods and primordial demons of the same level. His foundation was too deep. He had opened 360 apertures. If he could really cast 72 transformations, it would be too terrifying. It would be easy for him to fight against primordial gods and demons of the same level. His strength had increased by 200 times. It was not as simple as fighting 200 of them alone. Ling Yun's 9 transformations. I don't know how powerful the 9 transformations are at the moment. Suyu had calculated that the god and demon race was the strongest. At the 9th level of the soaring sky realm, their strength would be around the strength of 10,000 apertures. This was very terrifying. Suyu was still far from it. It was only 1,800 apertures. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1224. 1224 Chapter 290, soaring the skies too. The gap between them was simply too huge. He calculated the strength of his 36 apertures and 9 points of soaring the skies. This was probably the weakest soaring the skies. A soaring the skies that was even weaker than his 36 apertures, it was practically impossible for him to become a soaring the skies. Calculating it. Su Yu gritted his teeth. In theory, the other party would only have the strength of 120 apertures when he reached the level of a soaring the skies 9 dan. Of course, in reality, he would have to be slightly stronger. After all, the weaker he was, the better it would be for him to raise his strength. However, at this rate, he would only have the strength of 200 apertures. In other words, the weakest 9th level of the soaring heaven realm only had the strength of 200 apertures. On the other hand, the strongest 9th level of the primitive god clan and the primitive demon clan had the strength of 12,400 apertures. The gap. The gap was more than 60 times. It was no wonder that the gods and demons were said to be powerful. I have never encountered a 9th level of the soaring heaven realm with 200 apertures. Is there really such a thing? Su Yu fell into deep thought. Was there really such a thing as soaring heaven realm? It was too weak. He could probably kill it with a single slap. His explosive force was 9 times stronger than his opponent's. It would be strange if he couldn't kill it with a single slap. As for Su Yu, he had underestimated the gods. Of course, there were also differences in strength between the gods and demons. Including the primitive god race and the primitive demon race, not everyone could open 144 apertures and fuse 16 apertures into one. In the end, they could all cast 36 corporeal bodies. In theory, the most powerful 9th level of the sky realm could only release the power of more than 10,000 apertures. As for Su Yu, he would need to cast 20 times before he could compare to them. 1st level, 8th level, 3rd level of the sky realm. Now that I think about it, I need to be at the 3rd level of the sky realm to have a chance to fight against the top-tier 9th level of the sky realm. There are such people in the primitive god race and the demon race, right? He wasn't too sure. In other words, he had to be at least at level 3 before he could truly be considered invincible in the sky-soaring realm. He could sweep through the heavens and soar into the sky. Among all the races in the heavens, there was actually such a huge gap between them. At this moment, Su Yu deeply understood why it was difficult for small clans to rise up. With such a huge gap, what was there to rise up for? The 36 apertures of the sky-soaring realm was actually so weak. Su Yu had never thought about it before. Now that he thought about it carefully, he felt pity for his father. Could it be that my father had flown up with the help of the Xia family? Please don't do it. Open your apertures. The flight of the 36 apertures was so weak that it was pitiful when it reached the 9th level. Now, I could crush him with one finger. Just as Su Yu was feeling pity for his father. The Sky Battlefield. Demon Suppression Army. Su Long's 1,000-man guard didn't have any missions recently. They were repairing the rear. The entire 1,000-man guard understood that they didn't want Su Long to go to the front lines. The news had spread. Su Long's son, Su Yu, had escaped from the Great Xia Manor and entered the Great Ming Manor. The Great Xia Manor had an order to protect Su Long's safety. Under such circumstances, they naturally couldn't let him go to the front lines. Some important figures of the Demon Suppression Army had already come to discuss with Su Long whether they should retreat to the Eastern Theater of Operations, the rear of the human race, and carry out some logistical work in the headquarters. In the tent. As usual, Su Long was laughing and chatting with his colleagues. I said that my son is powerful, but you didn't believe me. Now you all believe me, right? Yes. The crowd's tone was a bit complicated. Yes, they all believed him. But your son ran to Daming Prefecture. Su Long laughed for a while and no longer showed off. He was silent for a while. He said, "Brothers, I'm going to prepare to leave. I'm going to work at the headquarters in the rear. If I stay here, I'll only drag everyone down and drag down the Demon Suppression Army. On the Demon Suppression Army's side, I still need to arrange experts to protect me now. As he said that, Su Long bared his teeth and laughed. How can I have that much face? I won't bring trouble to everyone. The commander said that if I stay here, everyone won't be safe either. Forget it, I'm afraid that all of you will suffer together with me. My son is now famous in all the clans. He's amazing. He's amazing. As his father, I'm also troublesome. That little brat doesn't make people feel at ease at all. He even implicated his father. Su Long sighed. An old man laughed and said, "You still don't forget to brag at this point. Your son is amazing, not you. Old Su, just leave. It's not like we won't be able to see him again. You're going to the headquarters and not the Great Xia Manor, right?" "I'm not going back." Su Long shook his head and said, "If I go back, I might even cause trouble for my son. When I reach the headquarters, the Great Qin King and the others might even come to patrol. It's safer. After I return to the human realm, I'll return to the Great Xia Manor. Who knows if it's safe or not?" He pursed his lips. He was not stupid. If he really returned to the Great Xia Manor, it might not be as safe as here. Unless he went to the Great Ming Manor to seek refuge with his son. But thinking about it, it would be awkward. Forget it, I should just go to the headquarters and do some miscellaneous work. I originally wanted to fight for a future at the front line and earn a future for my son, but it seems like there's no need for that now. I'm already old, it's good to go back. Su Long laughed and said, "I'm leaving, don't think about me. I feel like I'm about to soar into the sky. The next time I come to patrol the front line, all of you will have to call me Lord. Hurry up and get lost." Old Lu, who had always been against him, laughed and said, "Get lost far away. With you here, I'm still afraid of being decapitated one day. It's good that you're leaving. Don't worry, we'll help you kill those that you didn't kill." After saying that, Old Lu teased, "Old Su, you're a realistic person. Once your son is famous, you won't mention the matter of your son marrying my daughter anymore." Su Long rolled his eyes and said unhappily, "Marry my A**s. My son has already caught the eye of the Zhu family of the Great Ming King. How can he take a fancy to your daughter? Stop dreaming." He scolded jokingly and sighed a little. He muttered, "It's better to stay away from my son. That kid won't be at ease. Your daughter won't be able to hold on. All killed the sun and moon." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1225. 1225 Chapter 290 was about to take off 3. If he really wanted to marry a daughter-in-law, he had to marry someone with a powerful background. Otherwise, he didn't know how he would suffer. Old Lu couldn't help but laugh. He didn't mind. In his heart, he knew that some things were more complicated than he imagined. Old Su's son seemed to be famous, but he might not have a good ending. Everyone laughed and chatted for a while. Su Long didn't say anything. He took out the package that he had prepared long ago, bowed, got up, and said with emotion, "Brothers, then I'll go to the rear and do logistic services for you. After torturing for less than a year, I have to go back to do chores again." He came with a passion, but when he left, he felt a little empty. Everyone stood up one after another and sent him out of the tent. Outside, Deputy General Chen Long was already waiting. Su Long did not say much. He waved at the people who sent him off. "Let's go. Brothers, if you go back to repair, you can look for me at any time. I'll warmly welcome you. Take care of yourselves." After bidding farewell, Su Long left. After walking out of the 1,000-man guard, Chen Long whispered beside him, "Big brother Su. Don't call me big brother." Su Long said sullenly, you are a deputy general, and I am a 1,000-man commander. I am several levels lower than you. Why are you calling me big brother? Qianlong was helpless. Big brother, sending you to the rear is also to protect you. In order to appease my nephew's heart, you are at the front line, and the great Xia Manor's news is not secret. Now that the myriad races in the heavens are eyeing you, they are eager to kill you. They can also stimulate Su Yu. In addition, they can also put the great Xia Manor in a dilemma. Do you want to kill the sun and moon of the single divine language faculty? The great Xia Manor had said that Su Long was dead and that he had killed an expert from the divine literature department. If he was really dead, would he be killed? If he was killed by 10,000 races, then killing an expert from the divine literature department, sun and moon, it was easy for Lord Xia to say, but if he really wanted to do it, it would probably be an extremely difficult task. When that time came, the great Xia Manor would be in trouble, the divine literature department would be in trouble, and Su Yu would go crazy. Su Long said unhappily, I know, why else would I go back? Isn't it just to not make things difficult for that little bastard of mine? You are well informed, how is that kid of mine doing now? Everything is fine. That's good. Why do you think that kid is tormenting himself? It would be better if he was honest and let people worry less. Su Long whined. After a while, he said, Xiao Chen, tell me, to be honest, did the Xia family take me as a hostage and hold me hostage to deal with my son? Qianlong said hurriedly, it's not necessary. Big brother, don't think too much about it. Su Long was unhappy and didn't say anything. After a while, he said sullenly, what's the use of having talent? He's not strong enough. He can't deal with people just by talking. I don't know how strong this kid is now, but he's probably not my match. His heart was tired. Qianlong held it in for a while and said in a low voice, Big brother, that nephew of mine, killed someone at the 7th level of Lingyun realm. Don't you feel guilty? Su Long said disapprovingly, I know. I heard that he used some kind of innate blood essence to kill him. Isn't he still in the air? I'm already at the 6th level of the 10,000 stones realm. Qianlong smiled bitterly again. Big brother, he's already opened a few hundred apertures. Even if he wasn't in the air, he wasn't someone you could deal with. That's my son. He's considered Shanhai. If I hit him, would he dare to fight back? Su Long glanced at him and said unhappily, aren't you mountain and sea? If I hit you, would you fight back? Speechless. Qianlong smiled bitterly and didn't say anything. Kid, you're quite capable. When I left, you were like 1,000 tons. When I came back, it was only 18 years. You've already arrived at mountain and sea. Su Long sighed at this moment, I'm starting to regret it. If I didn't leave back then and didn't go back, could I have come to mountain and sea in these 18 years? If I were mountain and sea. F***ck, those bastards dared to bully my kid. I'll kill them one by one. It's not too late for Big Brother to cultivate now. Bullsh**t. Su Long cursed a few more times, very quickly, he said, hurry up and take to the sky. I know that kid from my family. That kid has never been willing to suffer losses since he was young. Sooner or later, he'll have to return to the great Xia Manor. If he doesn't cultivate to a stronger level, then when this kid comes to the Zhu Tian battlefield and wants to snatch his father away, his father won't be able to run away. That would be a disgrace. Big brother. It's not that bad. TSK, what do you know? Su Long couldn't be bothered with him. How could he not know about his son? He wasn't a good person since he was young. He had a strong desire for revenge. If he suffered a little and kept it in his heart, he would find trouble sooner or later when he had the ability. He heard that this chaotic battle was related to his master and old Lu. Su Long was also helpless. That old Lu looked like a refined man with thick eyebrows and big eyes. How could he have caused so much trouble? He had taught his son for 5 years. With his son's character and ability, how could he not stand up for him? It was only a matter of time. That kid is probably better than me. If I get to the sky earlier, will he be able to beat me? Su Long muttered in his heart. He had to get to the sky as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would really lose face. Daming manner. Su Yu sent the 3 small balls out. They had all consumed quite a bit of heaven yuan qi. The silly fatty seemed to be very satisfied. Although he felt that Su Yu might have done something unethical and that his second son seemed to have lost a bit of blood, forget it. Seeing that both sons had gained a bit of weight, he was too lazy to argue with Su Yu. It was just that his third son was pitiful. He actually lost a lot of weight compared to the other 2. Why didn't Su Yu feed his third son some food? He was very stingy. Su Yu did not care about these things and did not care about what Fatty Han thought. Fatty Han was useless at this moment. At this moment, Su Yu could not wait for Xia Huyo and the others to arrive. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1226. 1226 Chapter 290 Soaring in the Sky Requests 4. He had to extract the heaven vitality chi to allow his physical body to advance. He was looking forward to it. February 17th. Someone from the Great Xia residence had arrived. Daming Civilization Academy, Full Moon Pavilion. Top floor. Lord Xia Ho had come once again. Along with him were Xia Huyo and the 3 pavilion elders from the 3 great academies. The people from the Great Xia Civilization Academy looked familiar, Pavilion Elder Qi. Su Yu wasn't familiar with the people from the other 2 great academies, but it was clear that they weren't from the single divine language department, so they weren't an eyesore. Today, when Su Yu saw these pavilion elders, he didn't stand on ceremony. He slightly bent his waist to show his respect to the experts, and then didn't look at the 3 pavilion elders. He said directly, I previously made 8 conditions to Master Ho. Master Ho failed to fulfill a few of them. I wanted Master Ho to protect Martial Uncle Feng Qi's life, but Master Ho failed. Master Xia Ho smiled and said, Feng Qi is alive, isn't he? Master Xia Ho continued, he absolved by Feng and the others of their crimes. Shan Xiong did not enter the Great Xia Civilization Academy. Yuan Qingdong apologized. The academy was exchanged for higher merit points. Yuan Qingdong agreed and was willing to bear some subsidies. The god's corpse can be given to you. The search realm will no longer withhold income. After calculating, only the Sea of Consciousness realm cannot agree to you. At the side, Elder Qi interrupted, Su Yu, this Sea of Consciousness realm, you know the situation. This was left behind by the first-generation head prefect, and it is also the foundation of the Great Xia Civilization Academy. If I really give it to you for a set of cultivation technique, the Great Xia Civilization Academy will not be able to survive. Elder Qi quickly said, don't look at the monk's face and look at the Buddha's face. You, Su Yu, also have friends, teachers, and close people in the academy. Su Yu's expression was calm. Elder Qi is right. I don't want to make things difficult for anyone, so let's not talk about the Sea of Consciousness mystic realm. As for Martial Uncle Feng Qi, will the Great Xia Mansion send Yuan Qingdong to rescue him? He looked at Lord Xiaoho, who smiled and said, I know what you mean. Don't worry. General Zhao has also gone in secret. It's a pity that we can't find him recently. Otherwise, Feng Qi would have been brought back. General Zhao has gone. How could this be fake? As he spoke, Xiaoho Yi added, Old Zhao's strength is not weak. He has gone. If he really finds Feng Qi, his safety will not be a problem. Su Yu thought for a moment and nodded, all right. Also, that Shan Xiong has not entered the Great Xia Civilization Academy? Yes. Xiahou Yi smiled. The exact situation is not clear, but I heard that fellow has stopped at the Great Shang Mansion and is in seclusion to break through. Before that, he has already entered the 7th level of the sky. This time, after coming out of seclusion, he is probably at the 8th or even the 9th level. Lord Xiahou sighed. That kid can sweep through all the great manors. He's not a weakling, so don't think that he's afraid of you. To be honest, he's not weaker than Xia Yuan and the others back then. In fact, he's even slightly stronger. Su Yu didn't care too much. Before opening his 360 apertures, he probably wasn't a match for the other party. But now, he was about to cast his body, and that Shan Xiong dared to come and give it a try. Without saying anything else, Su Yu nodded and said, "Then you can send a message to the 3 manors. Where is the god corpse?" Lord Xiahou threw out a storage ring. "It's inside, but you'd better not take it out now. It's at the Sun-Moon realm. Not only is it at the Sun-Moon realm, but it's also at the 8th stage of the Sun-Moon realm. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the guts to surround and kill Long Wu. If you're not at the Sun-Moon realm, you'd better not have any designs on this corpse." "Thank you for your reminder, Marquis." Su Yu's willpower briefly scanned the area, and his willpower instantly shattered. He saw a corpse with its head dropped to the side, and his willpower was shattered before he could see anything else clearly. It was very powerful. Even if it was dead, it was still extremely powerful. Forget it, it was indeed not something that he could have any designs on now. However, he should be able to use it when he reached the peak of the mountain and sea realm, right? If his body was strong enough, he might be able to use it after the 9 transformations of Ling Yun. Swallowing a drop of blood essence and breaking through to the 8th level of the Sun and Moon realm. TSK. Su Yu fantasized for a moment and did not say anything else. After settling all of this, Su Yu said again, "Then, the other point is the split of the convergence technique. Back then, I had agreed with Master Ho that I would split 1 merit point for each person that I spread the technique to. Master Ho, you don't have any objections, right?" Of course. Master Xia Ho smiled and said, "The Daming Manor has also mentioned this matter before. With 2 editions of the convergence technique, a total of 26 million people have exchanged for it. That's 26 million merit points." When these words were said, the 3 pavilion elders all secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. How profitable. 26 million merit points. In the Great Xia Civilization Academy, there were almost 100,000 people of all ages. This was probably the amount of money that they would spend in a year. Of course, many of the elders would not be able to get a single cent. Su Yu easily earned the expenses of the Great Xia Civilization Academy for tens of thousands of people a year. When he thought about it, the Marquis earned even more. It was at least 10 times more than Su Yu. This was even more terrifying. A set of cultivation techniques would sometimes create a frightening amount of profit. Especially for this type of warrior path cultivation technique, it would often earn more than a civilization master cultivation technique. There were too many audiences. Su Yu was not surprised. He was also very good at spending money. Previously, he had killed so many experts and earned hundreds of thousands of merit points. He turned around and spent 350,000 to buy a research institute. Actually, 350,000. If he did not include the space cutting room, Su Yu would have suffered a loss. If he included it, he would have made a profit. However, Su Yu would not be using that thing for a short period of time. Su Yu did not waste any time and said directly, "Then, Master Ho, do you want to transfer the money, or do you want to transfer it now?" Master Xia Ho could not help but laugh and said with a smile, "Su Yu, how about this? You are about to cast your body. How about the Xia family take a chance to cast their body in the War God Hall, a chance that only comes once every 50 years. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1227. 1227 Chapter 290 is about to be released 5. There's no need. Su Yu understood what he meant and said directly, keep it for brother Hu Yu. I didn't even want Manor Head Zhu to give it to me. It's free. Lord Xiaohe was slightly taken aback. Holy shit. Zhu Tiandao was putting in a lot of effort. Su Yu said with a smile, Lord Xiaohe, just pay. I don't need any resources. Of course, if you are willing to sell the Sea of Consciousness or Yuan Qi Mystic Realm to me, I'll give you 1 million merit points. Lord Marquis Xia did not say a word. He directly took out his card and transferred the money. Stop fooling around. Putting everything else aside, just the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm alone cost between 100 to 200 merit points at a time. The annual income was close to 1 million merit points. It was a terrifying number. Of course, maintaining it required a cost, but the Great Xia Civilization Academy was actually relying on these mystic realms to supplement their living. If they were to really sell it, it would be a miracle. Not every sun-moon divine text could form such a secret realm. 1,260,000 merit points, not a penny less. Su Yu was too lazy to investigate whether 1,260,000 people had spread it or not. This thing. The Xia family had statistics, so he had no way to investigate. We're done. Su Yu did not say anything more. He stood up and said, Marquis, then I'll take my leave first. As for my 3 mounts, I've brought them with me this time. I'll get someone to send them to Daming Manor first. Then I'll have to trouble Master Ho. Su Yu did not say anything else. He bowed slightly and said, Elders, I'm sorry. I still have things to do. He did not stay any longer. He stood up and left. Behind him, Xia Huyo laughed and said, Su Yu, it's not easy for me to come here. Let's chat a little. Sure. Su Yu did not even turn his head, and Xia Huyo quickly followed. After he left, Elder Qi sighed, what a pity. Lord Xiaohe said lightly, there's no need to mention it anymore. He's quite carefree here. That Zhu Tiandao fellow is really generous. He went to seek for the opportunity to cast his body in the exploration realm and gave it away just like that. The Xia family can't give these. Even if the Xia family gave it away, they couldn't give it away. Lord Xiaohe was just trying to ask. The opportunity of their Xia family was given away to someone else, Huang Ting of the Great Xia War Institution. The Xia family chose to invest in Huang Ting. Since the Xia family had an investment, it was normal for the Zhu family to invest in Su Yu. The pavilion elders didn't speak anymore. This time, Su Yu's attitude was very clear. Business was business, not personal. Pavilion Elder Qi fell silent for a moment before saying, it's a pity that old Zhao is unwilling to come. Lord Xiaohe said unhappily, what bad idea. Who suggested him to come? It's best if he doesn't come. If he really comes, that old man's temper will come back. He'll be carrying the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm back to form a partnership with Su Yu. Are you in charge? Pavilion Elder Qi was embarrassed. What he said made sense. Luckily, he did not come. Old Zhao was here. If he really did something like this, the Xia family would explode in anger and the Zhu family would laugh like crazy. Outside. Su Yu did not say a word and directly walked towards the research institute. It was not suitable to do business outside. He would talk about it when he went back. Xia Huyo looked around and did not mention anything about the blood essence. As he walked, he said, the environment is really F*King good. The Great Xia Manor should learn from it. This environment, even girls are interested. Su Yu could not be bothered with him. After walking for a while, he said, there's still no news from my uncle master. No. That's troublesome. Su Yu was helpless, but fortunately, General Zhao and Director Ho had gone to look for someone. With the sun and moon present, if there was really a big battle, the other party would be able to sense it. Very soon, they entered the research institute. Xia Huyo sucked in a breath of cold air. This place is a research institute? An advanced club. Shut up. Su Yu cursed, cut the crap, where's the stuff? I know you're rich now. I've gathered 113,000 mountain-shattering bull essence blood points for you. Also, I've gathered 87,000 cloud tiger essence blood points for you, a total of 200,000 points, what do you think? Sure. Su Yu nodded. This guy was really efficient. Does your second grandpa know about it? Nonsense. He doesn't know about such a large amount. Where can I get it from? Xia Huyo said quickly, it's fine. I said I'm making a deal with Zhu Hongliang. Second grandpa, believe it or not, I can't do anything about it. After Xia Huyo said that, he smiled and said, it's not a big deal. Su Yu did not say much. There was not much hope of hiding it from Lord Xia Ho. That was for sure. The limit was too high. He took the storage ring and was about to say something when Xia Huyo smiled and said, the storage ring is not cheap either. I'll sell it to you for 10,000 merit points. Screw you. No. Su Yu could not be bothered with him. He directly took out the bottles of blood essence and threw the storage ring to him. He transferred 200,000 merit points to him and quickly said, let's talk about Lan Tian. There's no need to talk about anything else. How can we identify him? It's hard to identify him if he doesn't make a move, but if he makes a move, his strength will be exposed, it's that simple. F*CKU. Xia Huyo laughed dryly. That's the only way. Of course, there's a time limit for him to make a move. He sealed himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to hide from the investigation of the powerhouses. It will take some time for him to unseal himself. My second grandpa estimated that it would take at least 3 seconds. During this time, you will be able to determine his identity. Otherwise, he would only be able to unleash his strength around Ling Yun's. Only by making a move can he be exposed. If he doesn't make a move, he won't be exposed. That's not the case either. It's fine for Invincible to investigate carefully, but, which Invincible will investigate everyone one by one? If he is discovered by others, it will be hard for Invincible to explain himself. Su Yu nodded. That was true. Troublesome. Alright, you can go back now. As he spoke, Su Yu thought for a moment before taking out an item, I'll pass this over to Senior Hu Hao. Previously, in order to save him, his physical body was shattered, and it was very troublesome to rebuild it. This is the primordial spirit awakening technique. Only he is allowed to read it, and he can cultivate it. Don't peek at it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1228. 1228 Chapter 290 was about to be released. Requests for 6. Am I that kind of person? Xia Huyo was speechless. Besides, you already said that it would be spread very soon. What's there to be anxious about? Su Yu said calmly, even if it spread, it might not necessarily spread to the Great Xia Manor. F*CK. Xia Huyo had nothing to say. Su Yu ignored him and took out some things that were wrapped tightly. He stuffed them into Xia Huyo's hands and said, these are also for Senior Hu Hao. It will be of some help in forging his physical body. After which, he took out a storage ring and passed it to Xia Huyo. These are for my senior. Don't peek at them. Pass them to my senior. Then, he took out a merit card. This is 10,000 merit points. Pass it to my senior for me. After saying this, he thought for a moment before taking out another storage ring. These are top-notch weapon forging materials. Pass them to Zhao Li Laoshi for me. Xia Huyo gritted his teeth in pain. Just how many good things do you have? You have only been at Daming Manor for a few days, why do you feel like you have struck it rich? Do you have anything else? No. Suyu asked curiously, what else? Don't tell me that you still expect me to give you something. Isn't it my duty to give it to me? Xia Huyo chuckled, I have at least traveled 1,000 miles to give you something. That's true. Suyu nodded and thought for a moment before saying, a set of 36 casting body forging technique, do you want it? F***CK. There really was one. 36 casting. Xia Huyo said in a speechless manner, 36 casting, the consumption is too great. I don't have that much demonic god essence blood, and the chance to enter the Holy Land is gone. My old man gave it to Huangteng. I was just trying to trick you. Your Xia family doesn't give you a chance. Suyu was also surprised. Xia Huyo said helplessly, I'm a civilized master. Huangteng is the warrior. The warrior casting is the key, giving it to him is pretty good. After saying that, he said, Huangteng is very strong, and he can cast his body 36 times. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but it's true that he's very strong. 36 casting body casting, my great-grandfather and the great Qin king have it. As he said that, he looked at Suyu. If they were normal, then you were abnormal. Suyu couldn't be bothered with him. After thinking for a while, he threw the few drops of primordial blood essence in his storage ring to him. Consider it your travel expenses. I may need another batch of blood essence later. Xia Huyo casually opened the bottle and took a look. In the next moment, an extremely powerful aura exploded, shocking him. Suyu's aura burst out and was instantly suppressed. He said indifferently, Lingyun realm primitive god and devil blood, it's not a big problem to sell it for 2,000 to 3,000 merit points per drop. There's still some left. You might be able to use it to cast your body. Xia Huyo looked at him in a daze. F***CK, you've changed your gender. When did you become so generous? This thing was given to him. You're not going to cast your body anymore. I have plenty. In Daming Manor, I don't lack these things. He was speechless. Xia Huyo said sourly, if I had known earlier, would have come to Daming Manor. I wonder if Xia Longwu's son would be able to exchange for so many benefits by joining Daming Manor. You can give it a try. Forget it. I'm afraid of dying. My father will kill me. Xia Huyo smiled bitterly. Alright, I'll take it then. I'll bring the other things back for you. What else is there? There's nothing else. Try your best to help me continue to purchase the Mountain Breaking Bull's essence blood. I need it more. Alright. The Mountain Breaking Bull clan will probably cry. Shaking his head, Xia Huyo was also straightforward. He did not say anything else and walked towards the door. Turning his head, he said, I'll say the same thing. I personally stand on your side, but I'm a member of the Xia family. After eating the Xia family's food, when you really return to the great Xia manor one day, if the Xia family wants to stand up for you, then I'll be the one looking for trouble with you. Suyu smiled and said, as you wish, but, you are too weak. The current you, I can kill you with a slap. Alright then. Xia Hu was speechless and left in embarrassment. These words made him lose face. As for Suyu, he smiled. He was in a good mood. Looking at the storage ring filled with blood essence, he could not suppress his excitement and soared into the sky. I am coming. 200,000 merit points. It was fine. He had money and 1,060,000 merit points. What was there to be afraid of? 200,000 merit points. It should not be a problem to extract around 200 heaven origin fruits, right? Perhaps even more. Could he cast his body to 20 points? If he could, he would be at the third level of the soaring heavens realm, an existence that could sweep through the heavens. At this moment, Suyu did not care about anything else. He entered the laboratory and did not come out. We'll talk about it after the extraction is over. He seemed to have forgotten something. Forget it, it's not a big deal. Forget it. At the same time. Daming manner. The three great demons looked at Zhu Tiandao and looked at each other. The one-eyed demons were all terrified. Why didn't Suyu come to pick us up? He made us face this, a little afraid. They still remembered this sun-moon demon god from before. When will he come to pick us up? P.S. Monthly ticket. This month is so tiring. After writing these few days, I want to take a break and make some preparations in advance. We'll see how it goes. I'm dizzy from writing. I wrote 700,000 words in 27 days of this month, and I'm dead. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1229. 1229 Chapter 291 Super Sensing Jade, 1. At this moment, Suyu indeed did not have the time to receive the one-eyed ones. Since he would not die anyway, even if he remembered, he did not need to be too anxious. Extracting the Heaven Yuan Qi. The shadow barrier appeared, 1 wisp, 2 wisps. Suyu continued to devour the blood essence, using the atlas to extract wisps of Heaven Yuan Qi. The smell of blood on his body also became more and more intense. A drop of blood essence at the beginning stage of the soaring stage could only be extracted in about 3 minutes. 5 minutes in the middle stage and at least 10 minutes in the later stage. From the afternoon of the 17th to the morning of the 18th, Suyu had only extracted 300 drops of the mountain-breaking bull's blood essence at the soaring stage. It had taken him almost a day, but he had gained a lot. The shadow enchantment in front of him was getting bigger and bigger. Countless golden heaven origin chi was like a swimming dragon, wandering in the barrier. 300 drops of the mountain-breaking ox's blood essence were worth 23,000 merit points. He had extracted close to 30 heaven origin fruits. This was not enough. Suyu began to devour the blood essence of the Lingyun realm. At this moment it was not difficult for him to devour the early stage Lingyun. It was not until the midnight of the 18th that he extracted 100 drops of the early stage Lingyun blood essence. Suyu did not extract the remaining mid-stage and late-stage Lingyun blood essence. Instead, he went to extract the blood essence of the Cloud Tiger tribe. The Cloud Tiger tribe was a weak tribe. However, this time, Xia Huyo provided him with a large amount of blood essence, which was similar to the blood of the Iron-Winged Bird tribe. 87,000 merit points of the Cloud Tiger tribe blood essence, if extracted, would be about 90 heaven origin fruits. Other than the remaining blood essence of the Mountain Destroyer Bull, Suyu calculated that he could extract about 150 heaven origin fruits this time. It was almost enough. At this time, Suyu had swallowed too much blood essence. He was about to turn into a bloody person. The blood word kept absorbing the overflowing blood qi, but it could not hide the bloody smell on Suyu's body. It was the 20th. Suyu had continuously extracted blood essence for 3 days, but he had yet to complete the final extraction of the Cloud Tiger's blood essence. And at this moment, on Yueshin Island, Zhu Tiandao had come again, conveniently bringing the 3 great demons along. The 3 great demons continued to tremble. They had encountered too many sun and moon realms recently. They were always at the sun and moon realm. Didn't they feel that the mountains and seas were very weak in the past? Why was he in such a miserable state now? It was the same in the Great Xia Manor, and it was the same here. The sun and moon had always been watching them. On Yueshin Island, Zhu Tiandao did not restrict the 3 great demons. With a wave of his hand, he chased the few great demons far away and allowed them to play by themselves. Very soon, he did not bother with them anymore. He drank his tea and looked at Niu Baidao. He smiled and said, "That kid Su Yu, what has he been doing these past few days? I thought he came to challenge the 100 Dao Pavilion again." "No." Niu Baidao smiled. "Fortunately, he did not come. It would be troublesome even if he came." Without saying much, Niu Baidao quickly said, "Su Yu is in closed-door cultivation, so be it. Don't keep an eye on him all day. You're just a manor head. Don't you have anything else to do?" After saying that, he quickly said, "There's some results from the super-sensing jade. Do you want to go and take a look? There's some results." Zhu Tiandao was also overjoyed. He quickly said, "Let's go and take a look." After spending so many years and paying such a huge price, they could finally see the results. The two of them did not waste any more time. They soared into the sky and quickly disappeared. On the island, the three great demons looked at each other. One-Eyed said carefully, "It seems that they have really left. No one cares about us anymore. He left us just like that. Left us alone." Blood Moon said faintly, "Do you want to run?" Jushan said sullenly, "Are you stupid? Why run now? Where to? Be careful, it's fishing. These humans love to do this. Now, Su Yu owes us a promise to send us back to the heavenly battlefield. But if we run, just nice, there's no need to keep the promise. This is a conspiracy." It was definitely a conspiracy. It was all for fishing. Have you all forgotten about the fishing incident at Starfall Mountain? One-Eyed and Blood Moon sighed faintly. It was fishing. The humans were too treacherous. It wasn't good to go back on their words, so they deliberately let them see an opportunity to escape. The key was that if they ran away now, they would have a reason to kill them later. The three great demons looked at each other bitterly. They would continue to wait. They wouldn't fall for it. In any case, they wouldn't be able to leave in the short term. Zhu Tiandao and Niu Baidao didn't have the mood to do so. What fish were they fishing for? The main reason was that the three great demons didn't have much of an existence in their eyes. They weren't afraid that they would run away, so they wouldn't bother with them. Brightheart Hall. The place where the Sun and Moon Realm Elders of the Daming Civilization Academy retired was said to have 4 or 5 Sun and Moon Realm Elders. Of course, they were all extremely old. Brightheart Hall was located on a small island surrounded by water. The environment was even better than Yueshin Island. The birds chirped and the flowers were fragrant. It was like a paradise. Because it was a place where a few old men of the Sun and Moon Realm were resting, no one would come and disturb them. Zhu Tiandao and Niu Bendao had just landed and an old man appeared in front of them in a flash. The old man's beard and hair were all white. He stooped and smiled, "You two are here. It's just right. I'm preparing to adjust. Come in." Zhu Tiandao smiled and said, "Elderly, the effect is not bad, right? We tested it a few times before. It's still okay." The old man smiled and said, "Set up the heaven-locking formation first so that the radiation will not be too big after the test." Zhu Tiandao did not say much. He quickly threw some jade talismans into the air and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Vaguely, the small island was wrapped up. It was the great formation used last time at Starfall Mountain. It was a great formation created by the Invincible Realm. After finishing this, the few of them walked towards a large courtyard on the island. After entering the door, they continued to walk deeper. After walking for a while, the old man continuously activated some formations. They were all defensive formations. After walking for 3 to 4 minutes, they finally arrived at a huge underground hall.